showed y'all the video for the new agent website system, Placester, provided by Placester, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Is everybody in the right place?
Yeah.
Coming to the right class? That's awesome. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Scott Harding, and I'm the Director of Technology for the Rawls Group. I work together with one other fellow named Janko Gancha. We were just talking about him a minute ago. Together, Janko and I are a two-man outfit. We cover the help desk for the Rawls Group. We cover the 6 offices in the North Metropolitan area. That's the Buckhead, Smyrna Vinings, Sandy Springs, Dunwoody, East Cobb, all the way out to Douglasville and back. And on a day-to-day basis, what we spend our time doing is focusing on the servers, the networking, the computers, the security, the software updates, the purchasing and procurement of equipment and things like that. But we also work with agent services when it comes to onboarding new agents. And oftentimes that brings us into a training mode where up till recently I've been spending most, if not all, of my training time focused on e-agency and e-edge. Are those familiar terms? People here have heard of those. That's our older systems that have been around serving us for years. And so I've been teaching those classes in the past and helping new agents get on board and helping seasoned agents learn how to use our systems. And now we find ourselves at a time where everybody in the organization is faced with some new information about the Placester websites. If you don't know the big picture, here it is. Basically, Keller Williams is retiring the e-agency and the e-edge website systems. Did y'all know that? They're going away.
Yes.
They are. That's awesome. Some people, I get groans and moans, but that's awesome. I love the attitude. So you've got about a year before the e-agency and e-edge website platforms get retired. In their place is a new system by a company called Placester, who is a new approved vendor with Keller Williams, and that's the video I just showed you in the background was the official promo video for the Placester websites. Part of that big picture is to understand what's not going away. And what's not going away are the e-edge database and the e-edge marketing systems by Market Leader. So if you think about it, what did Market Leader bring us? The e-edge system, it was a 3-part system. It was a website by e-edge, it was a database by e-edge, and a marketing system. So the marketing system and the database are staying intact for the foreseeable future. In fact, this website already talks to your e-edge database. Doesn't mean you have to use e-edge as a database, but it's an option that's supposed to remain for a while. Now I'm very excited about these new websites because I'll be honest with you. Looking at e-agency and e-edge in the past, I kind of thought they looked a little dated. These websites here are fresh, they're new. They're awesome. Here's my demo site right here, treehousefinder.com. It's built off of a WordPress platform. Have y'all heard of WordPress before?
No.
WordPress is arguably the industry standard for building websites today. One of the things that we love about this system being on WordPress as opposed to e-agency and e-edge, which were kind of homegrown internal systems by KW, is this is an industry standard platform which would allow for development and for evolution of the product. So hopefully, as time goes by, I'll use the phrase that they give us in the developers meeting, this is version now of the system, but as time goes by, we'll see some development. And because it's WordPress, we're expecting to see some standard development and evolution of the product. I've even heard rumors about WordPress plugin market that may be available to agents next year or something, or in the future where you can actually buy add-ons and customizations and things like that. So we're real excited about those possibilities. So what you see here is my demo site. My web address is treehousefinder.com. I am not a licensed salesperson. I'm 100% technical. That's all I do. So that gives me the luxury of diving into a fictitious niche of selling tree houses because I actually really do love tree houses in real life. So I came up with treehousefinder.com years ago, and I use it for my training site. This is one of about 8 different templates that you can choose from. How many people are seeing a Placester site for the first time right now? Wow, that's good. That's good that y'all are getting exposed to this. So a couple things that you'll see that are very standardized. We got logos up here in the top and headers. We got standard menu bars. Your site will be built with some starting menus. You can take them away, you can add to them, you can create your own. One of the things that stands out the most, of course, is this big slideshow right here. My slideshow, I've got 5 slides that are sliding from right to left, and mine's 100% customized. You'll start out with some default images that are royalty-free images that range from interior to exterior shots of houses and luxury properties and middle range properties and things that will get you jump started, but you could completely abandon the default photos and put your own photos in there, which is what I've done. We'll talk about that today. Right there in the middle, you see where I've got a property search where it says for sale or for rent. I can enter city, zip, neighborhood, beds. That's an IDX property search. Hello, come on in. And who here has heard of the words IDX before? Would anybody like to take a stab at maybe trying to define what IDX does for us?
No.
I'll do it. Oh, you want to go for it? I'll let you hear it. Go ahead.
It feeds from the MLS and FMLS into your website.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's a technology that allows us to tap our website into the local MLS database. In our case, we're FMLS and Georgia MLS here in this area of the country. And it allows us to provide a property search that when consumers are doing a search, they're seeing on-the-market details about listings that present on the screen. But there's an important distinction about IDX, and what that distinction is that the information that's presented on the screen to the consumer is everything that they see from FMLS except for one distinct piece of information. And that is the listing agent's contact information is stripped off and your contact information is put in place when it's on your website. So that gives you an opportunity to be a buyer's agent. So when IDX goes to work for you, you get a situation where you're driving down the street and you get a phone call and somebody says, hey, I was just at treehousefinder.com and I was looking at 123 Main Street. I'm very interested in that listing, and in my mind, I'm thinking, that's not my listing. So you train your brain to realize, oh, that's my IDX working for me, and you go into a buyer's agent script. All right, so the technology here that allows us to do property search, powered by IDX, it also allows us to do featured properties. So these listings and inventories that you see coming in here are piped in from the FMLS database, and that's an IDX service. So when I click on the details of, for example, this Tifton, Georgia bunker, which I've had my eye on for a while, it's only about $20 million.
I've seen that one.
It's crazy. Have you seen the
Yeah,
pictures of it and stuff?
Yeah.
So when you look at the details, if somebody were to look at this on my website and they wanted more details and click the contact agent, it would contact me. So I've got my ear out for that call. That would be nice. One of the things that I like about the IDX for Placester, and you may not realize this, so I'll just tell you straightforward, all IDXs are not equal. There are about 30 companies that can do IDX that are authorized by FMLS in our area to do IDX. And they offer a range of features and services and a range of prices. And in the past, our IDX that we had before, which was WolfNet, have you heard of WolfNet? That was our vendor. It's kind of primitive compared to the specialties that this particular IDX does. This IDX is baked in by Placester. They wrote their own IDX protocol. They got themselves approved across the nation, including here in Georgia with FMLS. And one of the things that's great about Placer's IDX is when a consumer clicks on the property details, for example, I'll pull up the Tifton. When you look at the property details here, all the photos and all the text, all the words actually are viewable by Google when Google crawls your page, and that contributes to the content of your website. And so ultimately that improves your site relevance and will get you higher position in the search engines. In the past, something like that was like a $100 add-on with WolfNet with the WordPress plugin they had. Other vendors charge a couple $100 to set something like that up, with anywhere from a couple $100 to $1,000 to set something like that. And Placester is doing that for us for free. So that's awesome. So we got an upgrade in terms of IDX and what it's capable of doing in terms of SEO position. As far as what information you see, it's all standardized. It's just the MLS data. It's not a big deal there.
Can you choose what featured properties you want?
Absolutely. We're going to spend some time today showing you how to choose what featured properties you want. We've got testimonial section. I have a very eclectic group of
Yes.
buyers.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Barack Obama.
Yeah, he was a tough customer. But you can put in testimonies.
Can you pull your testimonies in from other sites?
You cannot. You have to manually put your testimonies in. So you just have to copy and paste them to get them in.
Okay.
We'll talk about that today. Blogging, you can see here where I've put in some blogging information. Everybody's website starts out with 4 blogging posts. Most common question I get, people say, oh, KW started a blog feed for me. Am I going to get another post next month? No. The answer is no. You're just going to get 4 static blog posts to start out with. You can delete them all, which is what I did. I took mine out and put treehouse related blogging, right? So you could do that, or you could build on what's already put in by KW for you. We'll talk about blogging. How many bloggers in the room? You know, that number just keeps dwindling and dwindling. I see about 1 to none, 2, 1, something like that. That's okay. If you are passionate about some information, if you're a subject matter expert and you're trying to get your message out and you like to write, then blogging may be for you. If I just said something that's, you know, repulsive and turns you away and you're like, no, I don't want to be writing all the time and I don't have a burning, passionate message, then blogging's not for you, and that's okay. But if you are into blogging, we have a blogging module,
That's
and then
cool.
some basic contact information, some branding we'll talk about.
It's for free included, right?
What is the question?
The blogging is free.
It's for free. It is. Yep. It's
Maybe
built
now
in
we'll
for
get more
free.
bloggers.
Right. It's if you want to take a test dive into blogging and see if it's free, this is a great place to start. Here's another example of a website that was recommended by KW. They gave us a couple sample sites from International. This web address is frohawkrealestate.com. Garrett Hawkins. They gave us about 5 or 6 samples. I'm going to show you a couple. The reason I like this one is I thought it was just so clean, just well done. It's not cluttered, and it looks very modern. And I thought they did a really good job of it. I like all the photos that they've got in there and the way it's broken down. He's got IDX pages for Fort Worth based on price range. That's pretty awesome that you can set that kind of thing up. We won't dig into that detail on how to do it, but it's a good example of some creative ideas. He's got some good blogging. It's Frohawk, which is spelled F-R-O-H and then H-A-W-K, realestate.com. I don't know what all that is. Fro in front, Fro-H, not sure. But I like this one. I thought this was a pretty good example of a nice, well done, clean template. He's done some legitimate blogging. Here's one more example. I really like this website here. It's stlucyhomesale.com. And down in Florida, St. Lucie, Florida. And what I like about this page that stands out to me is this lady's usage of the communities area. Notice when I hover over communities, there's quite a few different locations she's got. Those are pages that are built in. They're template based. I'll show you an example. We go in and look at Legacy Place, for example. This is a template driven process, and we'll get into this today, but this page is actually very easy to set up. It's got a lot of content in it, but basically you plug in some IDX information, a zip code or neighborhood or community or a county, and it starts putting together all the listings relative to that constraint, to that search constraint. You provide some basic photos. That's what she's done here. She put in this photo here, and some body text, and it just stitches it all together. It assembles the map for you. And this is all crawlable by Google. All right, so what she's doing is she's built these community pages. When Google crawls this page, it says, wow, this lady's an expert in some stuff. She's got a lot of comprehensive, multiple pages about her business, about her geography, right, and her niche. And so Google will crawl all these pages, and it contributes to her search engine placement. In fact, I would venture a guess that the majority of her website traffic probably doesn't come from an entry point here on her homepage. I bet you most of her traffic comes from Google searches where somebody's looking for something like Bedford Park, and this may be their entry into her website, and then they start navigating around. So I think she did a really good job. We'll talk about how to build that out today. That's stlucyhomesale.com if you want to jot that down, take a look at it when you get a chance. I emulated some of that on my website here under communities and created some East Cobb, Dunwoody, Blairsville, Buckhead, Smyrna Vinings locations. Ooh, I had another one up from the other day, but it's gone at the moment. I had a great one for Jasper. I don't know what happened to it. I got trigger happy and must have deleted it. We'll talk about that today. Some other things that are really interesting about the page, in addition to the IDX upgrade, is the fact that these websites are mobile responsive. Is that terminology you've heard before? Mobile responsive?
Yeah.
Mobile responsive is super important. Let's make sure everybody understands what mobile responsive is. Mobile responsive deals with how the website handles what device is showing it. Like right now, a computer is showing this website, and it looks normal, right? It's laid out horizontally and stretches out across the whole screen. But if you were to look at this website on a phone, for example, which I can emulate, I'm going to break this down. Close some of those windows down. And if I break this window down, notice what's happening to the website, how it's changing sizes in real time. And like this right here, that kind of resembles a phone, the shape of a phone. And you can notice that the website didn't have to reload or anything like that. It responded to its mobile resolution or to its mobile shape. And now the website is appropriate for a mobile phone, which is great. Or a tablet. If you were to kind of simulate maybe a tablet aspect, it would look something sort of like this maybe. And it's going to fit, oh, I went too much. Break it down. Somewhere around there. That's like the tablet view right there. There's several reasons why that's good. One reason is, have you ever tried to look at a website not designed for a mobile phone on your phone? What happens? You're sitting there pinching on it and zooming on it and panning around, and it's frustrating, right? And more than likely you're getting off of it. You're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that website. So that's great for your site visitors because they can actually get onto your website and it works on their mobile phone, on their tablet. But there's another advantage, and that's with Google. You may not have known this, but Google has studied, website traffic and visitors enough to realize that there's a tremendous amount of website traffic on mobile devices today. Mobile matters, right? In fact, I think there's some statistics out there that suggest that more and more consumers are finding their next home on a mobile device before they actually sit down and see it on your computer. So with that in mind, what Google is now doing is Google has the ability to determine if your website is mobile responsive or not. If it's not, it considers it an older platform, and it actually will push it down in the search results. And if it can tell that you are a mobile responsive website, you get a lift and relevance. So there's two strong reasons right there for why mobile responsive is important. That's why I like to show it. And there's a third thing that you might not be thinking about, and that's the cost of it. Prior to having Placester site in place, when we had the e-agency system, a common thing to do was to upgrade the e-agency website through a company called Brandco. Brandco is an alliance partner of ours, and they would charge like $1,400 to make your site mobile responsive. And they were basically moving you over to a super early adopters version of these Placester sites, I think. Like they look very familiar. Well, now you're getting this at no additional cost. It's just built into your agent fee, right? So that's really good news. So I love the fact that they're mobile responsive. I thought you were starting a hand clap. I was like, wow, that's awesome. I'm going to church over here. So anyway, that's some exposure to the websites. This is what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be covering basically 8 different topics here. We're going to be talking about discovering your website and the features. I'm going to help you build some navigation. I'm going to help you configure your listings. We're going to configure site design. Spend some time previewing your site and tweaking on it. We'll add content to your website. We'll talk about maximizing your site's performance when it comes to SEO and some other things and some website traffic. Today's time will be spent in a workshop format. What we'll do is I will spend time showing you and telling you about something or a series of things, and then we'll actually stop and I'll give you time to apply what we've just talked about and to work on your website. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask you to try to hold your questions back, because the more questions I answer while I'm talking, we start falling behind schedule every time. That's what happens. Chances are I'm going to answer your question. So if I don't get to it at the point when we're breaking, go ahead and ask. It may be beneficial for everybody to hear it, and we'll talk about it. If not, it may be something that I just come desk side and help you answer for you as we're doing the workshop parts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. So to get started, everybody needs to be at mykw.kw.com. Does everybody recognize this page?
Yeah. Yep.
Is everybody on this page?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So everybody, including the new agent, should have a login and should land on this page. Now the thing is depending on what you may have done or may not have already done in regards to your website, you may see exactly what I see, or you may see a big pop-up on your screen right now. Anybody got a big pop-up right now that talks about your website's ready, you want to build your new website, click here to start your new website? But if you have that pop-up, look at it, there's a checkbox that says, don't show me this message again. Hit the checkbox that says, don't show me this message again, and then hit the oval button that says, start your website, or go to your website. For everybody else in the room that's looking at a page that looks like this, what we'll need to do is come over to Technology, just hover, and then click on KW Websites. And that should take you to this page here. This is the official KW Placester access. And depending on where you are in your registration, you will either see this at the bottom, like mine, that says your new website is ready, go to my website. Or you may see something that says it's not ready, come back later. Does anybody have the come back later? That's unfortunate.
Mine says it's being created.
If it says it's being created, but it's not ready, does it say come back later?
Yep.
On yours too?
For the rollout schedule.
No.
Yes, yes, your site is being created, a link will be enabled.
Yeah.
Is that what it says?
Yeah. So unfortunately, you're going to have to either just watch today, but you won't be able to follow along because you're early in your, it's either one of two things. Either you're early in your registration with KW and it hasn't been created yet, or there's something missing in your profile that's preventing them from launching. So if you're a seasoned agent, you've been here for, I'd say if you've been here for more than a month and it's still saying it's being created, we need to talk. Either you and I need to talk, or you and Denise Wade need to talk and double check, because there's something missing from your White Pages profile. Usually it's a MLS ID
Even if it's 100%.
or an email address. Well, if it's 100%, there's some things in there that don't count to the 100% that could be missing. For the rest of you in the class that are able to continue, that's always uncomfortable. I hate that for them. But anyway, moving on. You want to go ahead and click on Go to My Website. Now we have a couple of situations coming up where, depending on what you may or may not have done, you may see the same thing I'm seeing, you may see something different. Here's another example. You may see a page now that looks exactly like what I've got, or you may see a page that looks like this example here, where you've got a big pop-up that says, congratulations on creating your KW website, and they want you to start setting up IDX. Anybody got this pop-up on your screen right now? What I want you to do, if you've got this pop-up on your screen, is up in the top right corner of that square is a little bitty gray X. Go ahead and click on that X and dismiss this window. Just dismiss that window altogether. We're going to go through this stuff here in a different way. Once you've dismissed that window, you may now be on a page that looks like this. See ya. Or you may have yet one more page that's a little different, that looks like this. Notice the slight difference where I've got the gold sentence that says your website's not live yet and it's not visible to the public, and then in blue it says launch your website. Anybody got this sentence? Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and click on launch your website now. If you read the instructions and the process for this class, they want you to go through and stage your website offline where nobody can see it, get it perfect, just right, and when it's ready, launch it. But I don't think that's very realistic. In reality, the way we build websites is you launch them, you look at them, you tweak them, make changes, reload the page and look at it, tweak it again, make changes over and over and over again. So the best thing to do is go ahead and launch it. Did you have a question?
Yeah, should I be in sites, marketing, reporting, leads, listings, my account?
You should be at sites, which is what this is right here. So if you're not seeing exactly this, go ahead and click on sites in the menu. If you just launched your website, then you should now finally be caught up to where I am. Everybody in the room now should have this page on your screen where it's not prompting you to launch your website, but it's just giving you a dashboard overview of your page right now.
No, do I have the same photo?
Not the same photo. Nope. My photo has been determined because I've made some template changes. Yes.
We have 2 pages.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great question. That comes up a lot of times. What if you got multiple or 2 sites? Notice up here where it says the word sites, I can actually hit this plus sign. The reality is Placester is in the business of selling you websites. Everybody gets one license for KW for free, right, or built into your monthly consortium. But you can add as many different sites as you want to. There's 2 types. There's full sites and there's single property sites. The full site is what we're working on today. You could have multiple full sites. You could have, which basically encompasses general information about you and your business and your listings and your marketing and geography. Or you can create additional single property sites. Anybody have an idea what a single property site would be like?
It's for one property specific one.
That's it. So if you had like 123 Main Street, you might go, or even better yet, what if you were the lucky agent that had the Tifton, or maybe the unlucky agent that had the Tifton bunker? That would be a perfect listing to go and set up a single property site called the TiftonBunker.com or something. Right? And you dedicate this whole page to all the details about the bunker. You know, so that would make sense. Something like that costs $5 a month per additional site. Right? It's not very much. So you could get a couple of extra single property websites, and as you start filling them out, when property goes off the market, you could repurpose them and restage it for the next listing if you wanted to. A couple of ideas. So if you're in a situation like the ladies in the front that have multiple sites showing up, what you can do, it's not a big deal, you haven't been charged yet. If you pay attention right here where it says the word on mine, it says disable. You'll see either the word disable or the word delete. In which case, you may delete.
So it shows me the first one to delete and the second one that I was kind of playing with says disable.
Yeah, so the one that you've done the most work in, you can keep it. If you're not sure, you can, I mean, if you've done a lot of work in one and not the other, then delete the one you've done the work in. Otherwise,
I deleted one.
delete the opposite one. Yep. So, I've got one site. You can see a preview of my site there, little thumbnail. I've got a title for my website. It shows me how many listings are on my website, 51,000. Pretty busy for a non-salesperson, right? 4 blog posts. I got a total of 8 pages that are built. We're going to talk about pages, and I've got 5 leads, which I created all 5 myself. The heart of where we're going to spend our time today is going to be behind this button right here, View Details. Everybody can go ahead and click on View Details now. This is where we're going to be working today. We're going to be working on this section here under Listings. I'm going to show you and talk to you about this section, then we'll stop and go into a workshop mode. Then we'll pick up again under Site Design. We'll go through these items. I'll show you, tell you, and then we'll stop and give you a workshop. And then we're going to slide up to the top. We'll work across these, the same format, and then we will make a dash for the finish line today through these advanced features here. And that usually takes us right up to about 4 o'clock to get all that material done. Okay? If you want to see what your website looks like, right now you can always click on View Live Site. It'll take you to your website. You can see it in its current status. If you've just launched your website, it may look very plain right now, out of the box, default, plain vanilla. We're going to help you get some editing done on it so that it has some life to it today. So to get started, first off, let me ask, is everybody on this page?
Yes.
We're all together? Okay. First thing we're going to do is we're going to click on IDX integration. Notice that I get a slide out that comes out for IDX integration, and what this panel is all about is right now it gives me the opportunity to connect my website to the database of choice, to the MLS database of choice that I want. And my choices are Georgia MLS, First MLS, it asks me a question about region, and then KWLS. Notice that I've got the word selected here. It's because I actually selected First MLS of Georgia. You may see something that looks a little different. Instead of First MLS written exactly like that, it may say First Multiple Listing Service Inc. or something like that. They changed somewhere along the line. Don't worry about it. You'll recognize that it is FMLS. I argue that FMLS is probably the better of all these databases to connect your website to right now. If for some reason your business is down towards the Georgia MLS territory, do you want to connect your database to Georgia MLS? You certainly can. If I wanted to connect my website to Georgia MLS, I would simply click right here where it says use this MLS. If right now you see KWLS and it says selected, the word selected is down here, that means your website is connected to KWLS. What does that mean? Have y'all heard of KWLS?
Luxury?
Keller Williams Listing Service, not luxury, it's just Keller Williams Listing Service.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if you have managed to connect your website to KWLS, you're only showing Keller Williams listings, which is not a strong value proposition to consumers, right? They want to see competitive listings on your website. So it's going to be Georgia MLS or FMLS. And in our part of the country, we have 2 options, but that's not a very common occurrence across the country, so much that right now they say that you can only choose one or the other, FMLS or Georgia MLS for now. They've told us in the future they're going to offer a way to connect to both if you want. If you think about our old websites, eAgency, you could connect to both. You could get the Georgia combo. It's not available yet. It's in development. They say they're going to bring it out. So everybody, I recommend connect your website to FMLS by clicking on use this MLS right in this area. Mine says selected because it's already selected. And then we're going to hit save. Congratulations, your website now is talking to FMLS.
Just choose FMLS, select it, and go next.
That's it. That'll bring you right back to where we are in listings. And now we're going to focus on something called global filters right here, right below the IDX integration. So I'm going to click on global filters. We get a new slide out. And what this has to do with is this is determining what listings could potentially show up when a consumer searches on your website. The area of the website that we're configuring right now is behind this little search area right here. Right? So if somebody comes in and they put a minimum or maximum price, what listings are going to show up? The best answer for global filters, in my opinion, is to come up and click on all listings. Notice it's got 3 tabs. Click on all listings and just open this selection up by clicking display all listings from my MLS. When you do this, what that means now is whenever a consumer searches on your website, anything on the market has the potential to show up on the screen, right? The premise is that you let the consumer filter the listings. If you were to come over here, for example, and set something like a minimum price, if I put 500,000 in here, and if I committed that, then my entire website would never show any listing anywhere on the website higher than 500,000. That would limit my marketability, right? So I find that agents are noodling around a lot of times trying to figure this out, and sometimes they'll get in here and they'll set a value in here, and then they can't figure out, why is my website only showing Buckhead listings for some reason, or why is it only showing nothing more than 500,000? Because we want to come over here to all listings, say display all listings from my MLS on my website, and go ahead and open this up with the idea that you let the consumer set their maximum price or their minimum price up here when they're doing the search. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Very simple, global filters. If you want some time with me on global filters and setting up something specific in the future, you can always get on my schedule. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Featured listings. As the name would imply, featured listings has to do with this section right down here, featured properties. That was one of the first questions I heard today was, hey, can we set up featured properties? Absolutely. We control our featured properties or featured listings from this area right here. You can go ahead and click on it. Now I've got 2 choices. I can click on a tab called filtered listings or specific listings. I'm going to talk about this in a scenario form first. So let's take one scenario. Let's take the first scenario that you are a new agent or just an agent that doesn't have any listings right now, you don't have any inventory, and you want to get something up on your website under featured properties. Well, what you could do, very similar to what I've done, is I have, if you'll notice, I'm showing 50,309 listings. I've just got this wide open. I've not defined anything. And it's showing all of the MLS listings on my featured properties. The way this works is this template, remember there's about 8 different templates. This particular template has 4 tiles for featured properties. Some templates have 5 or 6 tiles. Some templates have like 9 or 11 featured property tiles, but this particular template has 4. And so what's happened is, based on what I've set here, which is I've told the system it's wide open. I haven't defined any limiting information. It's just wide open. So what I've told the system is to show me all the FMLS listings and feed them like a pipeline into these 4 tiles. One of the things that you're just going to have to take literally for granted about this IDX is this system, for the time being, always wants to show the highest price listing, highest to lowest, left to right. So if you're configuring featured properties to show all 50,000 listings in FMLS, then the highest listing in FMLS is going to show up first. And this is indeed the highest listing in FMLS. It's like $21 million or something like that. Right? It's a commercial. It's actually a commercial property. I had to go check it out because I was like, that's one expensive barn for a barn door, right? But it's a commercial property in Beaufort. So what's happening is the system is ordering up the highest price to lowest, and it's showing the 4 top highest prices in FMLS. That's not a very strong value proposition for me, though, because I'm really not in the market for all these. You want to get control over these tiles, right? So again, remember the scenario that I'm giving you right now. You're a new agent, don't have any inventory, and would like to show some inventory on your website. You probably want to show some inventory that relates to your geography, your niche, and your value systems for your business. And that's where these tools come in. I could come in and say, actually, I'm not in the $20 million range, but I am going to max this out at 1.5. I get it? One more. There we go. 1.5 million. And what's the zip code here in Smyrna?
300.
What was it again?
30080.
80. So I'm going to put 30080. Watch when I hit enter. Notice that it put a bubble around that and my cursor is still flashing. I can add additional zip codes. So is there another zip code for Smyrna?
30082.
32.
30082.
Well, my ears are just not working. All right, so you can see where I could set up a couple of zip codes. I could add additional criteria if I wanted to, but for now, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit search. My number went from 50,000 down to 713. So now I'm going to save my results, and if I want to see my website, I could click up here where it says View Live Site, or I could go right up here where I've already got my site loaded up and just refresh the page, which is what I like to do. Each time you hit View Live Site, it pops a new page, and before you know it, you'll have like 5 or 6 editions of your website across your screen, so it gets kind of confusing. I like to just go up there and refresh it, and there we go. Now I've got listings that are in Smyrna, and the price point should be a maximum of 1.5. So that helps you define a range, right? So you can get things settled down instead of the $20 million properties. Scenario 2 would be if you're an agent that actually has inventory and you're trying to get your inventory on your website. Again, we would come into featured listings, and I'm going to clear these out. And actually, to tell you the truth, we're going to go to specific listings, and I should tell you that if you go to specific listings and set up criteria, it'll override whatever we did. So I don't know why I was clearing these out. I'm just OCD. That's all that is. You don't have to do that. So this scenario is I'm an agent. I've got my own inventory, and I want to show them on my website. So I'm going to use the specific listings tab. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to define the listings by using this tool here. Before I use this tool, you need to understand these columns at the bottom of the page. I got 2 columns. Here's how you understand these columns. The column on the left, whatever you see on the left, is the output of performing this search criteria. Whatever you see on the right is what's pinned to your tiles there on your front of your website. Right now, I don't have anything pinned, and I haven't defined it yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear these out, and I'm going to add a new criteria. I'm going to add a new search criteria, and because I'm looking at agent inventory, I can go in here and I can add an agent ID. So I'm going to enroll that as a search criteria. Now it's been added up there. What ID should I put in if my website has been tied to FMLS? Right. I talked to Lisa Vale before class months ago and said, I need some inventory. And she said, you are welcome to put my FMLS ID in the website. Lisa Vale uses VTeam. That is her FMLS ID. Now watch what happens if I come down here into search results. I'm going to hit search. And now I got 7 results. Those are her 7 listings. So what's on the left is a result of me doing my, working it out up here. What's on the right is what's going to be pinned up on my website. I haven't added anything. So I could go through and I could say add all if I want to. Now if I save these, those 7 listings are going to be pipelined into my featured properties. And what's happening here, she's got 7 listings. It's showing the 4 highest priced, highest to lowest, left to right now. Those are Lisa Vale's listings right now. And when this comes off the market, for example, if that sells, and this one will come over, and then the next one that you can't see right now will pop up in its place because I loaded 7, right? Does that make sense so far? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's how you can get your listings up there. If you only had, let's say you only had 3 listings. I can simulate that. Let's pretend for a second. I'm going to remove all, just for a minute, just so I can clear it up. Let's pretend that I only had 3 listings and these were the 3 that showed up. Don't pay attention to these right now, we're just pretending for a minute. If I hit save and go look at my website, I've got a website that has 4 tiles and I just scheduled 3 to be pinned on the tiles there. And you'll see what happens. I got 3, and I got a big blank space here, right? So what can you do? This is key. Watch this. Again, I can come back to featured listings. I can continue to work in specific listings tab. Remember, this is the result of my search. On the right is what's actually pinned there. So what I can do is come in and I could say, you know what, I'm going to remove VTeam, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a zip code. And I'm going to add a minimum price or a maximum price. Where is it? Price, maximum price. I'm going to add that. And what was the zip for here? 3008? 0. I'm just going to put that in for now. Make a point. And I'm going to put a max price of $750,000, for example. Now when I hit enter or search, notice this column on the left, that number changed to 447. Everything you see here is what matched up to this criteria, but look what happened to the right. Nothing. Those are still pinned to the front website. They haven't changed. So now I could come in and I could just add one more if I wanted to. I could cherry pick the one I want and come back in here, and now when I refresh the page, I get my tiles all the way across again. I get 3 of my own plus another one. One of these is a 700. I think that's the 750 that just showed up. And again, it ordered them highest to lowest. That's why I put it over here.
So we could pin our partners.
Yeah, absolutely. You could go in and you could redefine it with a different agent ID over here. You could have gone in and said, you know what, let's do a different agent ID. And you could have gotten rid of these two. And you could put your partner's ID and you could have added some to the right hand side. Now here's the thing. You could start thinking about this and it starts getting confusing, trust me, because if you say, well, what if you start adding more listings? What happens when that one goes away? Or what happens if I add all 447? If you were to add all 447 of these listings, chances are these would no longer show up unless they are priced higher than the maximum price of these listings. And so it can get a little confusing at times. And I want to stop at this first potentially confusing thing, and I want to show you something on my website. This is my website, rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. How many people have seen this website? A couple people. This is the pathway to your help desk right here. This is my department with Jonko. And what I want to show you is that if you go to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, you can book a tech session with us right here. Schedule a tech session. This is my schedule, and here's Jonko's schedule. If you click on my name, you can see my availability for remote technical sessions. And hopefully, wow, I hate that when you're in a live room and it's taking forever. It says it's waiting. There we go. So here's my availability. You can see my next slot is at Friday, this Friday at 1 p.m. If you were to,
You're busy.
I am busy teaching and doing consultations. If you choose 1 p.m., then fill this form out. At the bottom you can save it. Confirm the booking. And I will be calling you on June 24th at 1 p.m. You just need to be connected to the internet. I can remote control your computer, speak to you over the phone, and we can tackle things together like getting your featured properties sorted out on your front of your webpage, right? So I don't want to take everybody down a rabbit hole today when we've got so much to talk about. I want you to kind of get your mind open to how that works in general, and know that if it's too complicated or if there's a problem, there is a way to get my attention, and I'm happy to do it. It's a perfect example of using us. I would say one more thing. I have focused on the websites far more than Jonko has. We purposely, that's the division of labor here. Jonko's turning screws and updating software and doing things, and I've been focused on the training classes. So if you've got something relating to Placester, try to get on my schedule, because chances are he's going to refer you to me anyway, just so you know. But this is great. Anybody in here done a remote session yet?
I have.
You have. What did you think about it? Did we get you
You're
taken care
awesome.
of?
Yeah, not enough time.
Good. Okay. So let's come off of this. I will give y'all time to play with that in just a few moments. Last thing I want to show you is this open house tool. The open house tool, as you can see, is a feature only available for single property sites. I guess what it does is it allows you to schedule open houses or see open house calendars and things like that. I don't know why they've positioned it here, but that's what they've done. So open house really doesn't apply to a full site like what we were working on today. So you can kind of ignore that for now. And I want to take about 5 to 10 minutes here and give y'all time to work with getting your featured properties turned on the way you might want them. I'm going to check with us in 5 minutes, see how everybody's doing. And if we're good, we may move on. If we need more time, I'll give it to you. A couple of people brought that up. Let me show you. Maybe I should have mentioned that. Here's what people are showing me is featured listings. And they're coming up and they're showing, I'll add like maybe, let me see if I can get one in there. Notice what happened, how it grayed out. I think what that means, best I can tell, is there's something about that listing that makes it, what's the word, ineligible to be shown. Maybe it's in pending status or some sort of changing status. So what I found is you can keep trying to click through them until you find one that'll stick, and it'll be in dark colors and black, and those are going to show up on your website. And then what you can do is once you find that, so I'm going to keep going through, let's see what we get. That one's not holding. That one's not holding. Let me keep going down here. Just double clicking on these, trying to get them to show up here. There's some right there. So these, see these here, for some reason they don't qualify. They're just in transition, I think. 621 Mabry Road does qualify. So what I can do is say remove off market, and it's going to keep the ones that qualified. And so now I've built a little pipeline of 6 listings to show up on my website. I'll refresh that page there. Okay, give us a couple more minutes here.
So if a listing's not on FMLS, it won't show either.
That is correct. You got that right. Some of the older systems you could build the listing manually, but you can't do that here. It's going to have to be an active listing, current on market.
What is your website to schedule an appointment?
rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. And then if you go to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, you can go to help desk, schedule a tech session, and then you can get on to Scott Hardy right there. Okay, everybody ready to wrap that up and move on? We're going to talk about site design here. This is a lot more fun than the IDX stuff. First thing we're going to talk about is theme selection. Is everybody with me on the same page?
Yeah.
Great. Everybody click on theme selection. And you can see it's pretty straightforward work here. You get 8 different templates to choose from. I'm currently on Madison Metro is the name of this template. I can browse through the different templates by clicking this right arrow or this left arrow. I can cycle through them. There's template 1 of 8 called Plymouth, the Fremont. When I find a template that I like, I can also come down and choose a color palette, which changes the highlighted attributes. So if I were to go to blue, for example, notice the Franklin now is in blue, the hyperlinks are in blue. Also, you might not have picked up on this, but the photo catalog changes in the Franklin when I change to a color palette. I go from this series of photos to a different series of photos, and each template, follow this, each template has its own palette with associated images. That took me a while to figure out. I had people calling me and going, hey, I had these awesome interior shots, and now I'm on the same template and I lost those photos. Well, I can't find them. And about 2 days later, I finally figured it out that, oh, each color template has its own series of images. And I wasn't ready for that, but I got it now. I understand. So once you find a template that you like, go ahead and you can hit save. And now if I go view my website, I'm still in the Madison Metro. If I refresh the page, I can get a new view of the Fremont. That's the Fremont template right there. Pretty easy peasy.
How did you refresh the page?
On this particular browser, I use this icon here. I'm using Chrome, and I refresh the page right there. So you can play around with that. We will get time today to play around with those theme selections. Some themes have more options than others. For example, the Madison. You'll notice we have some additional choices like selecting a pager header. I can do a full colored header, or I can do a white background. I can add some statements to display over my slideshow. So like right there, see where it says enjoy the striking seaside views on that thumbnail? That is a number 4 option there, but not all templates have those options. So you're going to have to kind of play around with it and get the combination that you like. You'll get time to do that today. For me, I like the Madison. I usually do the red or the gray. I'm going to stick with the red today. I'm in a red mood. Once you've selected a theme, you can follow that up by adding a slideshow. I clicked on the slideshow, and we got this new slide out menu that came out, and you notice, just like when we saw sites before, the word slideshow has a plus sign, just like the sites did, which indicates you can add additional slideshows to your website, which is what I did. I created a new slideshow called Tree Houses. There's mine. You probably recognize that. And there's the photos that are in my slideshow. I did that by custom. Interiors is the next one here for me. The reason I have interiors with custom in between is because interiors started out as a default, and I tweaked on a default, and it renamed it custom. The third slideshow on my list is actually called default. This is the first of the untouched defaults. I haven't tweaked on this or messed with it at all. I can preview the different shots there. Let's see what it's about. If I like that, then I can go with it by hitting select. There's the original interior. That's what it looks like before it gets tweaked. I like that. But you know what? I do. I'm going to go ahead and hit select. Notice what happens when I hit select. It takes me to an additional page. A little bit drills down to a little bit more information. It's now showing me each slide in my slideshow where I can take on some activities here. One of the things I could do is I could add a caption over my photos, which actually they've already put a caption in, discover fresh modern residences. That'll show up right across this bottom right here. You might have noticed I can add a link, which is interesting. If I add a link, if I add a web URL to here, then whatever I add there makes this a clickable image. So when my slideshow is sliding across on my website, when that slide comes up, if I've enrolled a link behind it, when the consumer clicks on it, it'll take them to whatever destination I've specified in this field right here.
Cool.
Might not make sense for this picture, but now that you know the mechanics of it, your mind can start thinking of some other ideas, right? Maybe you put a vendor shot. Could you imagine on your luxury website having Superior Plumbing? And they click on it and it takes them, oh, that was a joke, y'all. I wouldn't put that on my luxury site. But
We're so
mechanically
focused right
speaking,
now.
I know everybody's like writing it down, Superior Plumbing, I'm going to put that on there. Yeah. No, but you could, if you wanted to. I have another idea for that I'll share with you in a minute. In addition to modifying what's there, you could delete that image. Keep in mind there's a maximum of 5 slides here on this particular part, 5 slides. So maybe there's one of these slides you didn't really care for, didn't like, you could actually just delete it. You could delete it and upload a replacement shot if you wanted to.
From your computer?
From your computer, yep. Now one of the things that I hear people say is, and they'll point this out, that if you go and you look at the slides, now they've slowed them down, but at one point these slides were boogieing so fast it was like you almost couldn't even read them, but they're kind of slower now. They must have got some feedback, but still they move pretty quick.
They do. They
And
don't
there's-
give you headache.
And there's not a way to change, the timing. I drank too much water. There's not a way to dial it down or dial it up. But what I do hear people say is, well, wait a minute, what if I don't want a bunch of slides? What if I just want an image to hold? Can you do that? Just one single image? And of course you can. You could actually come in here, back to your slideshow, and you could create a new slideshow and just upload one slide. You don't upload any more, right? And so then it would just hold on that slide. If you take that path, to me, that's when the caption and link begins to make a little bit more sense. What if on your slide you had a teaser shot of monthly, quarterly stats or something, right? And then you put a link to your stats behind it, and you put a caption that says, learn about this month in real estate. Just an idea, right? That's where that stuff starts to make a little bit more sense to me. To me, that's the fun stuff of building your website, is thinking, okay, now I know how that works. What could I do with it? And start coming up with some ideas. So continue there. Slideshow. You can add up to 5 slides. You can modify slides. You can add to what's there. You can put one slide in to get a static hold if you want to. Okay, certifications. Certifications deals with this part of our website down here. If I come all the way down on my website, we get these icons down here, these badges. Those are certification badges. We get those by clicking on certifications and choosing through this gallery. Now here's what you got to know about the gallery. You can't add or take away from the gallery. You're going to have to use, for now, whatever you see in here. You can use a maximum of 6. The first 6 that you select are what's going to show up on your website. Notice I've got more than 6 showing up, but the first 6 are what should be showing up on my website. So you go through and you pick some, like equal housing opportunity probably makes sense for everybody in the room. National Association of Realtors, NAR. Somebody pointed out to me this is not Atlanta Board of Realty for Realtors. There's ABR here, it's just something else. But if you see a badge that corresponds to your certification, you can go ahead and grab it and attach it to your website. I wish they would have like a upload functions. You could add some more badges to it, but today they don't. I don't know if they plan on adding that or what they're doing with it. So once you've chosen the badges that you like, you can go ahead and save this, and it'll pin them to your front of your web page there. Very simple. Social networks. You'll notice when I click on social networks, this particular slide has a list of very common, familiar social networks. And what this allows me to do is it allows me to add functionality to my website. If you look at my website, you notice I've got a collection of social media badges down here at the bottom. And all the templates have it at the bottom, and they keep them at the top. And depending on which one of these I have filled out, it'll produce the icon associated with the social media network. So for example, Facebook.com, I put Keller Williams Realty in there. I put Keller Williams Realty in there because my Facebook page really doesn't belong on my website. My Facebook page is totally recreational, has nothing to do with my business, and so it didn't make sense to me to put that on my website. So I put Keller Williams. It's a very safe answer to have a social media network on your webpage if you want to while you're working out, maybe a professional Facebook page. If you look at it, I click on the Facebook, you can see it's not about lead capture, it's about the culture of the company, which is cool. It's very well done, very well maintained, kept up to date. Now, the way that I figured out how to put in KW's address here can be accomplished by visiting kw.com. Notice it's not mykw.com, it's just kw.com. This is the customer viewable front door of the company, right, online. And if you scroll down this page, you'll get a collection of social media icons that you can click on, for example, Facebook, and you can see the actual profile address for KW's Facebook. That's KW's Facebook profile. But if you study closely, you notice this is a long string of text that includes www.facebook.com/Keller Williams Realty. They don't need all that. All they need, because they impose that right there, all they need is the trailing bits right there, Keller Williams Realty. So I could do that for each one. I could do this for my own. If I went to my own Facebook page, I should be able to study the address and figure out what my profile is. If I wanted to figure out Twitter for KW, you can look at it and you see twitter.com/, there it is, KWRI. So there you got your answer. So you can put in KWRI. If I wanted to put my own Twitter page in there, I happen to know my profile is twitter.com/shardy. My Twitter is about gardening and dirt biking and camping and nothing to do with real estate. I never built that handrail. I thought about it. That's funny. Anyway, I haven't looked at this in a while. I could copy that address. No, I could copy that trailing bit right there. And I could paste that in as an answer, and I could override the destination for KWRI and put in my own Twitter again if I really wanted to. And I work through these on KW's page and just put KW answers. You can do the same. Okay, once you've got that completed, and you go visit your website, let me refresh my page there so I get the latest. You can see now if I go to my Twitter, it looks like it went back to my Madison. Interesting. I didn't change my template, but it changed. It went back a template. How'd that happen? I don't know. Here's my Twitter. When I click on it, of course, it takes me to my personal Twitter page. Interesting. If I don't have an answer for a particular social media network, like Pinterest or Google+, I'll leave it blank. It's not going to put the icon on your website, right? It's only going to put the icon if you have a full destination. It's a perfect example of spending time with me if you need to get help figuring out your profiles. In just a little bit, we'll stop and give you some time to work on this. especially LinkedIn. That is the one that can get tricky. If you're going to put your LinkedIn, go for it. Try to put your profile in there. If you get an error, let me know. I can usually help you figure it out. So that one's a little tricky at times. I think LinkedIn changes their format so fast that KW can't keep up with it in their template. Social media, right there, social networks. Now search forms. This is a fun area. This is an example of an area that I had to, I usually try to do everything intuitively, myself. And then I'll read the directions as I'm going kind of thing. This one I had to stop and really pay attention to figure this out. Took me a minute. I'm going to try and break this down and make it as simple as possible for you though, so you can quickly understand it. Notice that this activity, customize your search form, is divided into two sections. The first one is select your home page search fields, that's section 1. And then the next one is select listing page search fields. So what we're dealing with here on this first section in green is your home page search, which relates to this region right here. This is my home page search. This section in a minute we'll get to, the listings page, deals with this page over here. And it deals specifically with how our search tools show up in this area, in this region right here. Now I purposely put myself onto the Fremont because it's a little bit easier, or the Franklin, because it's easier to show that area. So let me go back. I don't know how my template flipped over, but it did. So now let me go back to my search forms. Did y'all catch that it changed? A minute ago I just had a little bit, now I got all these other choices. I wanted you to see all these other choices. That's why I'm on that template. Strange, but here we are. I have choices where I can choose, for example, price, and it's going to put this template on my main page. I can't click on these right now. This is just a preview. It's a static image, right? These don't function. But these are the different presentations of a search tool that I can put on my home page. I can do a price-based one, a city-based one, a zip code. I'll do a zip code. Now when I hit next, it's going to bring me to the second section. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to hit save, and I'm going to show you the changes on the first part. So notice now, instead of that bar that I had, I've got this new one that's based on zip code and minimum price, beds, and max price. So it changed that a little bit. Yes, question?
I don't have that option available. Am I doing something wrong?
Okay, no, you're not, and I'm going to talk about that in
Okay.
just a moment. I'm glad you brought that up. We've got to cover it in just a moment.
So someone could check max price or minimum price, they don't have to have the zip code?
They don't have to. They can leave it blank, and it's just going to do a wide search. Right? So you can pick through on the search form, focusing on this first section, figure out which one of those you like the best. City makes sense for me. I like that one. I'm going to hit next. When you hit next, it automatically brings you to part 2, which is selecting on the listing page. Now I'm presented with some other presentations of the search tool. I get 3 on the listing page search. I can do a minimal layout, a basic layout, or advanced. So I'm going to geek out here and I'm going to do advanced, and I'm going to hit save. Watch what my website looks like now. If I recycle the page, my zip code on the front is going to change to city, because remember I did that at the last minute. And then if I go to my listing search page, there's my full advanced price points, and these I can actually click on if I want to. It's a little bit more in depth. This is a building block concept though, and question I had a minute ago kind of segues into that building block. Now that you understand that basic functionality, here's where things get a little bit more advanced. A little bit trickier and definitely counterintuitive. Come back to search forms, excuse me, let me go back to theme selection. Different themes qualify for different search presentations or search layouts. In particular, the biggest example is the Madison, which, by the way, everybody starts out on the Madison. If you're still riding on the Madison, then this is going to apply. And this may be, I forgot your name. I'm sorry. I know I've met you before.
Olga.
I'll wait till you're eating too. Yeah, there you go. Olga, this may be on the Madison. She was just raising a question. She said, hey, I'm seeing different options on my search field. So I'm going to save myself on Madison, because here's what happens when you are on the Madison and you're in the search form. Notice all my choices went away again. All I have is a is what's called the Omni box.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I say, yeah, I'm going to go next, again, for number 2, Omni box is my only choice. The Madison is a special template that is designed for what they call the Omni box. And I'm showing you the Omni box now. Here we go. So I'm back to, this is what's called the Omni box. And according to the instructions and the meetings that we go to every week on this product, the developers are telling us OmniBox is for the Madison, and it works reliably on the Madison. Even if you go to some other templates like the Fremont or the Plymouth and you try to add the OmniBox, the system will let you add the OmniBox, but it may not work correctly. And I always have people raise their hand in class and go, oh, wait a minute, I'm on the Fremont and I got the OmniBox and it's working, you know. Give it time, it'll break, from my experience. But it's stable on the Madison. Now, what's the big deal about the OmniBox? It's a new protocol that they call NLS, which is natural language search. Even though the OmniBox starts out with the words inner city, zip, neighborhood, and beds and bath, that's just a suggestion to the consumer for natural language search. An example of a natural language search would be something like, I want a red porch. And then theoretically, all these houses should have come up with a red porch.
Interesting.
So if I come through here and search through these pictures, was that it? Oh, there it is. Red porch.
But it was identified through the picture, or was it in the description?
And now that is the question. I appreciate that, Olga. Now get out of my head. Olga has brought up a great point. Is it the picture? Did it really see the picture and know, or was it the description? What is it?
Description.
It's the description.
Okay.
The cool factor of this is actually the weak link here in the whole chain is the fact that it depends on this description. There's red, the word red, and then porch will be in here somewhere, I'm sure. Porch, there it is.
So it doesn't have to be the red porch.
The photo didn't really matter, right?
It could be a red brick and some porch.
Right. It could have been, yes, exactly. So that's where the weakness of the NLS is. It's neat. I think it's cool. It's something that's developing. But the biggest occurrence of it that I see is individuals trying to show listings by school. If you haven't figured it out yet by looking at this, nowhere does the IDX give you a pull for school, you know, a pull down. And so people are like, oh, well, if I want a Soap Creek house, I'll use NLS, right? Doesn't work that way because you're still depending on somebody to accurately describe the listing. And they could have said something like near Soap Creek but not in it. Or they could have said the word soap and creek separately or something, you know. So, you know, that's just something to think about. It is my job to show you some of these things, though, and I want you to see how the NLS works in the OmniBox. It's cool. We all got a ooh and ah factor at Mega Camp when we saw it, but now I'm kind of over it, to be honest with you. I think it needs some development, but that's how it works.
Good start.
It's a good start. I love the fact that they're developing stuff and innovating stuff.
It's
That's
million
still
times better than
cool.
the Edge already.
Oh, yes. Olga, if I were giving out T-shirts today, you would have them.
You win, Olga.
You win, Olga,
So
exactly.
cool.
OlgaWins.com. That's it, right there.
Maybe that's the website I need to do. Thanks.
Let's move forward. Search forms. Again, I'm going to give y'all time to work on this, so don't worry if you're stuck in the mud. Let's keep pushing forward. Menu. As that name suggests, I'll click on the menu. This is my navigation menu for my website. We're talking about this area up here. Across the top, home, listing search, blog, communities, and contact. That's my menu represented here. Again, this is another area where there's a bit of some building blocks that need to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to show you a real basic menu add-on. And then we're going to progress through some information. And then when we start talking about pages and other templates, I'm going to come back to menus because they'll make better sense. Right now, all I want you to recognize is that this is my layout of my menu. And here's where I can add new items to my menu down here at the bottom. The way this works is I'll click on this down arrow, and then I can choose from this list. This list comes from a collection of content made available either by default from the system or content that I've created. I've created things like Treehouse 101 page, and I've created a Jasper. There's my Jasper, Georgia. I'll go add that later and we'll go look at it. I've created a lot of pages in here. And so we haven't learned how to create pages yet. We haven't learned how to create area templates or agent indexes. So it doesn't make a lot of sense yet. But once we start creating those, you'll realize, oh, I'm recognizing my creations in this box. But for this part of the lesson, I want you to focus on the last option, which is custom URL.
I don't have that one.
If you don't have that one, make sure your page is scrolled all the way down the view. A lot of times it's at the very bottom of the page, and it may be that menu is below your screen. So we want to choose custom URL. Let me take a quick look. Did you find it? Go back to menu, and then I'll click on this down arrow. Custom URL. There you go. I noticed a mistake that a lot of times people make, and I did it the first time myself, was rather than clicking on this down arrow right here, rather than starting here, you jump the gun and hit add. If I do that, look, it added a new home button. That's not what we want to do. I'm going to remove that. Yes, delete it. I really need to figure out what class of object I'm adding or class of element to the toolbar, and it's going to be a custom URL. So I want everybody to click on custom URL, and we're going to add. Notice that I've got some additional tasks to complete before I'm done here.
I think I'm in the wrong place.
Okay, you should be at menu.
Menu, okay.
So we're at menu right here.
Alright.
Menu. And then you're going to go down to the very bottom, and you're going to hit this little pull down and choose custom URL,
Okay, alright.
and then add. So you have a label, a URL, and a tooltip. A label, whatever you type in the label is what's actually going to show up in the menu right here. So contact's a label. Blog is a label. For this exercise, what I want to do is I want to add a link to my mobile property search for my phone so that you can download my mobile app from my website, or in your case, your mobile app from your website. So here's how we'll do it. We'll come up to label, and I'm going to say download mobile. I don't know why that's putting that across on my keyboard. I've never seen that before. Anyway, download free app. Nope, you know what? I'm going to say mobile app. For the URL, what's a URL?
The link.
It's the link, right? It's the destination. It's the final experience for clicking on that button. I'm going to need to provide my link to my URL, to my mobile app. Everybody has a unique link to your mobile app. If you don't know the link to your mobile app, I'm going to show you a trick right now to finding that real easy. It's a tool on rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. If you go back up to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, that's where I'm at now, hover over New Agents, and then from New Agents, select Step 5, which is E-Agency, My Mobile App Introduction. If you click on that and scroll about halfway down, there's this tool that we created. This is a little HTML trick. If you click on this image right here, y'all recognize that? That's the old E-Agency control panel back in the day when we were doing E-Agency stuff. If you click on that, it should, nothing up my sleeves, nothing up my pants leg, watch this, it should go. Oh, come on.
It's so slow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yanko's downloading Windows 10 today, by the way.
I heard it's kind of so.
Yeah, we no, it's actually going to be good for us.
Yeah?
We've been testing it. So,
very
but
good.
I was talking to him this morning, and this office is on the schedule this week. So he's like, "Okay, I'm going to start downloading Windows 10," and I was like, "Oh, I'm teaching a class today. I'm not happy about that." But anyway, it's got to be done, so we're doing it. Anyway, this has brought me to the actual page for my mobile app. Has anybody seen this before? This page?
In one of your classes a long time ago.
Okay, yep. You're a veteran student there. Christine's been in my class. So if you're looking at this page, but you don't see this, then you need to click the pull down where it says, yours will say Smyrna Bindings. So if right now you're looking at this page and you're not seeing all this information, click this pull down and choose your area.
So you went from your website to.
Right here, I went to my website, went to New Agents, to Step 5.
Step 5, okay.
Uh-huh. And if you don't know about your mobile app, take a minute, read through this information. You'll learn something about your mobile app here. There's the video we used to show in class. But it's the key to figuring out your link is clicking on this image, and it will take you to this page where, lo and behold, my link for my app is right there. Now, the way this really works is because it's figuring you out because I've got everybody in the room logged into mykw.kw.com. So that's how the link's able to find you.
Our link is.
So this should be your link. If you want to verify it, what you can do is copy this link, like I've done, and then just go visit that page real quick and make sure your name is showing up on the page. And you'll know. I'm going to go paste and go. And I named mine treehousefinder.com, but yours should say your name. And sure enough, there I've got it right there, treehousefinder.com. So I know that's my link. So you can know for a fact you have successfully figured out your link because your name should be right there. Is everybody with me? Okay. Now that you've got that link, we can go back to our Placester control panel and we can finally supply an answer for this field right here. I'm just going to paste.
So the URL, mobile URL.
Yeah, I'm just going to put the mobile URL in its entirety right there. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay. Tooltip. Tooltip is information that appears whenever your mouse hovers over the button, but you haven't clicked on it yet. It's kind of like 1990s website, right? I don't like tooltips. Some people love tooltips.
I love it.
You could put something like a motivator. Click, it's free, or an explanation. You know, browse homes on your phone. You know, whatever you want to put in there. You could overdo it easily. I'll let you find the happy medium on that. I don't really care for them, but I'm going to put one in right now for us, and I'm going to hit save. Now, full disclosure rather, there has been a little bug in this area, and it affects usually or impacts about half the room. Usually it hits me every time. We'll see if this works or not. I'm going to go, and if we get the bug, I'll show it to you and how to fix it. But I'm going to recycle my page, and what I should see, if you're watching this area, I should pick up a new button right here. So I'm going to recycle the page. There it is. Sure enough, download my free mobile app. Let's see if it works. It did not. So I got the bug. If yours went to your download page, great, you're done. Anybody work? Yeah, that always happens. Some people work. Then the rest, like me, doesn't work. Here's the fix. Pay attention to here. This is what's happening. If you go back and you take a closer look at menu, watch this. Here we go. Pay attention right here. Look what happened. It deleted my URL for some reason. I don't know why that happened, but I'm going to paste my URL up here so I can see it, and the fix is just to manually type it in and it'll work. So app.kw.com/KW4RL3Z1. Now if you type that in like I just did, then you're putting my mobile app on your website. Don't do that. Okay, I'm going to save that. I promise I will share the commission with you, right? I'm going to recycle the page, and hopefully, if it's true to every other class since we figured that out, this should now work. There we go, popping up, and it should be taking me to, hopefully, my mobile app download page. Now, this is another mobile responsive page. It knows if you're on a mobile app. Right now, it knows I'm on a desktop, so it looks like this, but if you go to this page on a mobile app, instead of all this, it's an actual very straightforward download to either your App Store if you're on iPhone or to Google Play if you're on Android. The download process will pretty much begin, and it's going to download your serialized version of the tool. Yes, ma'am, Olga.
Sorry. Before we leave menu, I saw that you had the sub menu. Is there any way we can create?
Yes, we're going to talk about that later. But that's a great question. It's very important. We will talk about that.
Thank you.
Right now, I want to stick to the basic building blocks of adding just a URL to the menu. Is anybody feeling lost, or was that explanatory? We got it? Okay, so we added a link. So now that you can add one link, you can add another link, right? And you can play around with that. Let's talk about site info. We're going to come back to menu when we have more to tack on. So site info, this is a fun little area here. We got branding information, site headers and logos, contact detail, office contact detail, and some other stuff that we're going to talk about. Whatever you type in the brand name, you can see here I've got welcome to treehousefinder.com. That's what's going to show up right here. In this particular template, it looks like that. Most common question I get, can I change that font? You can't. The font is baked in. So it's associated with that template. If the font is giving you a hard time, you don't like it, you could possibly change to a different template and it may have different font, but you can't designate a different font in there. So whatever you type for brand name is what's going to show up. And in my case, I did welcome to treehousefinder.com and it positioned right up here in blue. I've got it highlighted just for a minute. Moving down, if you do a tagline, I put looking for a simple backyard feature, a recreational retreat, or a luxury canopy. Wait, or a luxury canopy home. We're here to help. Okay, that's my tagline, and you'll notice that I put it in, and it shows up right there. You can also add a logo. My logo right now is Atlanta North. That's where I taught the class last, so Atlanta North is up there. We're going to put the Smyrna Vinings logo up. Let me show you a couple things. First off, you can upload any logo you want. You can select a KW logo. Do you have to put a KW logo here? You do not. Or you can put yours, or you can put a KW logo. If you go to select a KW logo, we don't have Rawls Group logos here. I don't know what it's going to take yet to get that in there. We need to figure that out, but as of this moment, I don't have that figured out. So you can upload your own logo or upload a Rawls Group logo. I've got a collection of Rawls Group logos over at rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. If you come up to our website and go to Resources and then to Downloads, there's the Market Center logos. There's the Market Center print drivers, by the way. If you're feeling froggy and you want to try and get the printers installed on your own, you can do it right there. But here's the Market Center logos. And you'll see I have a collection of all the Rawls Group logos here.
Fancy. Resources.
It's Resources, Downloads, which is at the bottom of the menu, and then over to Logos. On the right-hand side, I've got what I call the quick and dirty versions of the logo. These are very low-quality, white background JPEGs. And they work in a pinch for a lot of things. Letterhead comes to mind, things like that, or you can just slap them up on a website if you want to. But it doesn't always look good to have a white background on your web page. For example, if I go to theme selection and go over here to the Metro, and let's say I have a banner that looks like this on the top. Watch this. If I put a basic, let's see, where are we? City side. If I save one of these, save image as, downloads, and then go upload it, here's going to be our problem. Upload that file. There it is right there. I just downloaded that. Watch how it looks. Now if I go look at my template, refresh it, I get this big white background. It's no good. See, that's ugly. So if I want things to match better, what I can do is download from the left over here. These are the same logos, but in every possible format. So like for example, here is the Smyrna Vinings collection. It looks like that, but it's PNG, JPEG, TIFF, BMP, clear background, reversed, double secret probation reversed, whatever you want to, So anyway, these will come in handy. These will come in handy here, and they also will come in handy if you're working with a vendor who says, you got a company logo, we're trying to print your t-shirts up, we're going to put a nice logo on your sleeve, you have your logo in a certain such format. You could say, you know what, I don't even know what I've got, but you could send them this link and say, open that up and you maybe find what you're looking for. So it's a good resource, handy to have. I'm going to go ahead and download this right now. You'll notice it's downloading on the page at the bottom left. It's a very quick download. It's a compressed file. Notice the letter Z on there. It's a zipped up file. So what I'm going to have to do is right click on it and choose, in this case I did 7-zip because the 7-zip is installed on this computer. You may just see the word extract on this menu. If I go a little deeper here and say extract files, take the defaults, and it should have created a folder. There it is right there. There's my unzipped files. If you need help with that, let me know. I'll come by in just a minute and help you guys out. And inside the RGB folder is this logo right here, which is a clear background, which works really well for most applications. So I'm actually going to upload that to my template. I'm going to come in. I'm going to change my background to something like orange for a minute. Actually, I'm going to make it gray so it'll show. Now I'm going to come back into site info. Now I'm going to upload a new city side logo instead of the white background one. I'm going to go into my downloads folder. There's my unzipped folder. There's the RGB folder. It's this middle one right here, which has got a clear background. and it'll make it fit really nice. So now when I go look at my web page, recycle it, I should have a full bleed. There you go. You can see how it fits in because it's got the clear background.
Nice.
All right, so you can play around with that.
I don't see one for signature.
You could use that in your signature, as a matter of fact, if you were building a signature file.
What is that favicon?
That's the next topic, is what that is. Right now, we're going to talk about favicon. But before I do that, I will point out you can hit these check boxes right here. If you uncheck these, it'll take your name and tagline up here. Will stop displaying on your website. If you uncheck display logo, your logo will come off. And then when you put the check boxes back in there, they come back. You won't believe how many calls I get. People are like, my logo's gone and my tagline's gone, and it's because somebody has unchecked these. So I don't know why they put them there, but they do put them there. Favicon is one of my favorite topics. I love the favicon. I think it's so cool. I get a lot of calls on favicon, so much that I actually wrote a quick help page on that. We're going to look at it now at rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. If we go over here to training, and then course, resources, and info, here's some resources and info for the Placester class that we're in right here. I've got workshop overview and KW Favicon, and we'll talk about building mobile app page later. But KW Favicon is an explanation of the favicon. This is a favicon right here. Have you ever noticed that before? Right in front of a web address on your browser window?
Cool.
And if you look up here on these tabs, they all have a favicon. There's Placester with that triangle. That's their favicon. Over here is the Wikipedia site with the Wikipedia favicon. There's Twitter with Twitter's favicon. But in a lot of browsers, this screenshot is actually from Safari. Safari will put a favicon right there as well. So I created a favicon. Here's my Treehouse Finder, and Chrome doesn't show it there. It puts it up there in the tab, and that favicon is a custom favicon that I created. It took me about 5 or 6 different versions to get it just right. And I used to say, if you would like that, send me an email after class and I'll email it to you. And that was like the #1 email I got for a while. Everybody wanted it, so I said, okay, I'm going to put this up on my website. You can download the same favicon that I'm talking about on my website by either clicking directly on this PNG file or right-clicking and choose Save As, Save Image As right there. That's the actual icon. Once you've downloaded it, you're going to come back to this area we're working in, and you're going to click on Upload the File and upload it to your site, and you can have that favicon just like mine.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Pretty straightforward. Out of curiosity, I uploaded my headshot in the favicon one day just to see what would happen, and sure enough, it made this little bitty I could barely make myself out, but it actually had good resolution enough that I could see it and make it out. I was amazed. It'll take just about any image, so anyway, you can work with that. Contact details and office details. These areas correspond to places on your website such as here, where I've got my contact information here. And then at the footer, I've got my contact information repeated here. And then below that, I've got my office information. So we're getting control over that information by filling these areas out. Coincidentally, I made a comment about, do you have to put a KW logo up here in this logo area? And then I said no, but then people point out compliance issues. Notice what happens down here. There's always a KW watermark down here. And if you put your office information according to compliance, including your office phone number, you now have the compliance part, and it frees you up that you can have some freedom up here, right? So I overlooked that the first time. I was in class and somebody pointed out compliance, and I started sweating at the podium. I was like, oh man, I just told them something totally wrong. And then another person pointed out, they go, well, what about the watermark down here? And I was like, there it is. Thankfully, they got it. But they don't have your broker information over here, so you need to go ahead and I put Rawls Group Technology Department because it's a fictitious website, but you should put Rawls Group Keller Williams, what is it, Keller Williams Cityside, Keller Williams Realty Cityside. If you're not sure what to put, who is your compliance person? Is it, who?
Alida?
Alida, that's right. Alida. Check with Alida, let her see your website if you ever have a question about compliance. So you can fill out your contact information and office details. And here's a topic I like to spend a little time on, and then we're going to break for a minute and let y'all have a segment of time to work on your workshop. It's this SEO section down here at the bottom. I find that I think I can give you an advantage if you don't understand this today yet. If you can walk out of here understanding this section, it gives you an advantage over your competition. And that's what excites me about this. I want to help you gain an advantage today. So, who's heard of SEO before? Search engine optimization, right? That's a catchphrase these days. Meta title, meta description. Have y'all heard of that kind of stuff before? Meta title is another one. Meta tags, right? Everybody knows that. Probably has heard that anyway. Sometimes called meta keywords. Almost any template system you work with in the past has always allowed you to put keywords in. This system doesn't. It allows us to put a meta title and a meta description, but no keywords. The way keywords normally work is keywords relate to when a consumer does a search at Google. If you did a search for Atlanta homes for sale, those keywords, those would be words that are keywords in the consumer search. They relate to websites that have listed those same words as their keywords, and when there's a match, Google says, oh, you're looking for websites about homes for sale in Atlanta? Well, I've got a whole list of sites based on their keywords, and I've ordered the list in terms of most relevant to least relevant, and here they are. We're Google, we're your search provider. You know, that's Google's model, so to speak. There's no place to put keywords in here. My theory is that Placester's putting them in for you. I think Placester's running an algorithm against your website and figuring out what the most appropriate keywords are. They advertise that Placer sites are SEO friendly, and in a minute I'm going to show you some examples of where Google is hitting my page. And I think Placer's taking that from you and doing a good job for you, which is cool. But they also allow you to put in your meta title and meta description, and here's where the advantage comes in, and I think that people are surprised when you finally see how these work. So let's take an example by going to, your site looks great, Olga.
Thank you.
All right, google.com. You bet. So we go to google.com and let's do a search for Atlanta homes for sale. All right, I'm a consumer throwing in keywords into a Google search, and here's my results. Do you know that there's a difference between everything you see up here? I'm trying to get them copied. All these up here. There's like a line, an imaginary line right here. Everything from the top up here in the top that has the word ad in front of it, they're special. You know what's special about all those listings? I can't grab them. They paid for that position, right? So they may not be the most relative, but they've got the best budget, is what that boils down to. Consumers probably have figured that out. Below the advertisements, though, something special happens. There's the first one, Zillow. And that specialness is something we call organic placement. Organic placement is a big word for, basically says that Google's opinion is that that site is the most relative site for the keywords that were searched. So what we're seeing here is for these words up here, Atlanta homes for sale, Google's telling us that Zillow is the most relative web page out of 19 million sites that they've got indexed. That's an accomplishment. So clearly, I don't know if Zillow knows anything about real estate, but they do know something about Google placement, don't they? Google has crawled every page on the internet and determined their relevance based on keywords, and they've said Zillow is the most relevant, then Realtor.com is the next one, and then Trulia is the next one, and then Homes.com is the next one, then Redfin, Caldwell Banker Homes. Not one single individual agent has made it on the first page, so don't feel bad that you're not there. Right now, what you're looking at is meta title and meta descriptions. Did you know that? I see you shaking your head in the back. Yep, you knew it. So the title is everything in blue right here in large print. That is the meta title for Zillow's website. This is the meta title for Realtor.com. Everything in black is a meta description. Zillow has 3,148 homes for sale in Atlanta, Georgia. Here's another meta description. Discover Atlanta, Georgia homes for sale. That's the meta description for Realtor.com. So whatever you type in your meta title and whatever you type in your meta description is what's going to show up on these Google search pages. So if you'll notice, the meta description here are very boring. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Basically, it says search thousands of listings. You know, Imagine for a minute if your website was about home staging, for example, just to get a concept in the air. And let's say your meta title was amazing home staging tips for free. No obligation. And what if your meta description was, don't make the same 5 mistakes all home stagers make the first time. Read my free report, ... If that was your meta description and you're seeing that in your Google pages, you may get some website traffic because somebody may see that and go, huh, that's interesting. I'm trying to stage my home and this person is talking about 5 mistakes that all home stagers make. Maybe I need to read that article, right? It gives you a chance to stand out from your competition, to manipulate your description, turn it into a call to action, focus on your geography and your niche and your value systems that relate to your target demographic and bring them into your website. Don't discount for people to see that and go, wow, you got the same boring content everybody else does. I'm going to throw a dart at it, and whatever the dart lands on is which one I'm going to click on. Motivate them to come in. This is your chance. So that's awesome, right, to have that knowledge, because I know for a fact there's a lot of agents that have blank and blank right here because they don't understand it, right? So I want you to understand that you can take advantage of that. If we go to Google here and do a search for Treehouse Finder, I'm just breaking it up so I know I can get it at the top. Here's my web address right there. There's my web address, but there's my title right there, my meta title. And look, here's my meta description showing right up in Google. I used to think Google put that in. You know, I thought Google crawled the page and figured it out and was telling the consumer what it's about. No, Google relies on you to do it. You are at this point, from this point forward, hereby web designers. Boom, there you go. Right? You're telling Google what to put in there. So whatever you answer here is what's going to show up. Coincidentally, I love the fact that my Jasper home is showing up. My Jasper webpage is showing up. That's my Placester site. And also my free mobile app is showing up.
Oh, good for you.
Is that cool? Home Finder, that's not. There's more. It changes all the time, but I'll see more and more pieces of my website showing up in Google, which makes me feel good about Placester. It makes me feel good about telling you about Placester because I'm like, wow, Placester really is searching. Google really is crawling the Placester sites and ranking them. Now, treehousefinder.com is not a very competitive search, obviously, but hey, it's in there. Google's crawling the page, and I'm seeing evidence of that. So here's the thing. You now know mechanically how these things work, but here's the challenge. This is under site info. This SEO section is under site info. It's where you're seeing it now. Later, as we build pages, you're going to notice the bottom of every page you can create has the same SEO meta title and description. So you can define I'm going to get to your hand, I see it. You can define every page that you create later today with meta description and title. This is trying to describe your entire site. This is a big, broad stroke. And the challenge is it may be a little early for you to define that accurately. You may need to build your page a little bit, figure out what your page is about, figure out what the content's about, and then come back and define this later. So don't feel a lot of pressure to get this answered perfectly today. You can put about 50 characters here, 50 or 65 characters. If you go beyond that, then it'll just present dots at the end. It'll just cut you off in your Google search page. Notice like right here, see how it's ... at the end? So it's too much metadata. Right there, I got cut off. So you can define that. So that's a challenge to know, okay, I got about 50 characters here I can put in to define my whole website. Don't feel the pressure right now. Just know how that works.
You only have how many characters?
About 50 to 65 maybe, I'm guessing.
Oh, I'm way over.
Yeah, you're way over.
Okay.
And another mistake that I see is, and it's just, to me, it's just people are not quite understanding what I'm saying yet, is I'll come back and I'll walk around in a minute and I'll see people are listing keywords in here. Don't do that. Write this for the person that's using Google. Write this for human eyes, right? Write it as a compelling, with good English, with good grammar, right? With a compelling call to action to get somebody to click through. It's your chance to toot your horn and get somebody to click on through to your website. Okay? So we're going to take call it a break, but it's really, we're going to go into workshop mode here. I'm going to give you time to work on anything we've covered so far. Let me figure out how much time we have here. It looks like we can do about 15, maybe 20 minutes if we need it. I want you to focus on all these site design areas here. If you got questions, let me come desk side. I'll check on time here in just a minute. Anybody need some assistance or got a question? going to do is we're going to come on up. We're going to work our way up, and we're going to start focusing on some of these areas, and just going to have a little bit of building on some of the building blocks that we've learned. So what we want to do is I want to focus on pages first. So everybody click on pages. And here you'll notice I've got 8 pages in my website. You probably learned already what this plus sign means. It means I could add a new page if I want to. Pages are across the top. So this is where we're working right here. We just left off down here, and we're actually sliding up on the control panel, and we're focusing up in this region here, and we're clicking on pages. So you can see I've got some pages in here already. I've got 8. Some of them are baked in, if you would, by Placester. You can modify those. You can delete those. You can add your own pages from scratch. And what I want to do is I want to show you how to build a basic page.
Yeah.
And this will be the most basic page you've ever created before. This is going to be, I'm just going to click on the plus sign there. This will be a real starting point. We're going to build off of it. So I clicked on the plus sign, and you'll notice right off the bat I've got some pieces to look at. I've got something called a slug, a template, a page title, and page content. And look down here. Oh yeah, we already know about all this, right?
Yeah.
This is the SEO for that one page. Okay. So don't worry about the slug just yet. You're not going to put an answer in there. What we're going to do is for this first page is we're going to create a default page. But just so you know, there's all these other templates here, and we're going to talk about some of these. Like if I wanted to build a testimonies page, look, there it is. I can add a testimonies page. If I want to do a blog, I can build a blog page. These are templates that kind of jumpstart the process. But to get things started, I want you to understand some basic elements, some basic construction first. So we're going to do a default page template. Now, page title, watch what happens as I type in a page title. Watch what happens to the slug. I'm going to call this page title a basic page. And do you see the slug started writing that out?
Mm-hmm.
So we now know that actually what a slug is this is the web address for this one little page. When I create this page, if I wanted to, I could copy that and paste it and put it in a text message to somebody, and they could pull that page up, right? So this is building the page for me. So my page title is a basic page. My page content is where all the content is going to be controlled for that page. I'm just going to click in this little editor here, and it works basically like a word processor. I'm going to come in and I'm going to type, this is a basic page. Hello world. This checkbox below here says add this page to my menu. So when I hit save, it's going to add this page to my menu. Notice I get a pop-up. This page was added to your menu. Okay, you get it? This page was added to the last item in your menu. Would you like to edit the menu label or the order? I'm going to say no, I don't need to edit it. I'm good with being the last element of my toolbar. Let's go look and see what we did to the website. I'm going to bring up my web page again. All the way up here to the top. I'm going to recycle the page. Look at my toolbar, my menu. Over here to the right, I got a new menu item called a basic page. And when I click on that, you will see perhaps the most basic page you've ever worked on. Right there. This is a basic page. Hello world.
That's a perfect basic page.
It is, isn't it? But hopefully you gained some mechanical understanding of how this website works by seeing create a basic page. Notice my page count went up to 9. And it should be in my list. There it is right there, basic page. I can go in here and edit it. Did you have a question, Lev?
What if you have more pages than you have bar at the top?
It'll wrap the menu. Yep. So you get a second line of menu. So here's my basic page. Let's talk about some of these elements here. Again, this works very much like a word processor. I can do some formatting, bolding, italics, bold something if I want to. You can do ordered lists, underlining. What's nice here is I can make hyperlinks, insert pictures, and even do videos. So for example, if I wanted to add a video, it's one of my favorite little features. Watch this. Let's change the name from a basic page. Watch when I change the name what happens to the slug. call it Watch This Video. It updated my slug to a new address based on my title. See that? Watch this video. Matches up right here. Let's take all that out and let's say, watch this video below. Now I'm going to put my cursor where I want the video to start, and I can use this tool right here, this video, insert video tool.
Oh, nice.
Right? I can come in here and hit that, and it asks for an embed code or a link. I'm going to show you the embed code. I like the embed code. It gives you a little bit more control over stuff. The embed code involves you just using HTML. We got any HTML experts in here? Raise your hand, don't be shy. Me neither, right? I'm an HTML dabbler myself. I know just a little bit. I can read some. But this will help you paste some code to embed your video. Here's how it works. If I wanted to put in a YouTube video for KW, I could go to KW's YouTube channel. Easiest way to find KW's YouTube channel would be to go to kw.com. One of the easiest ways, one of several ways, and come down and hit their social media badge for YouTube. Right? Here we go. I know from experience to pause that because it always starts. I'm going to go into their video library right here, and I want to find an interesting video. I gotta say, Chris Heller and unicorns is pretty interesting right there. I'm gonna go ahead and click on that video.
Hi, Chris Heller, the home seller.
Chris Heller, the home seller. Hello. Chris Heller is one of our senior leadership out of International, if you don't know who he is. You'll see him at Mega Camp and Family Reunion. How many people here have ever added a video, shared a video on Facebook, or emailed a video to somebody, right? You probably know when you're at YouTube, which is where we are at YouTube, you can use these sharing tools down here to share a video. Sometimes you may just copy a link, copy. Or you might come down here and hit the share tool. Notice these elements here. If you want to quickly drop something into Facebook, you could hit the F, the Facebook icon, that would share this link into Facebook. You could email this to somebody. You could also embed, which is what our tool is asking for, is embed. If I hit the embed, notice it puts code together that's already highlighted. So I'm just going to right click and copy that. Now I'm going to make my way back over to the Placester control panel, and I'm just going to paste exactly what I copied into there. I'm not even going to worry about it. What it says, I'm just going to hit insert. And there's the video being embedded into my basic page. And I'm going to save this and go check it out. Back to my home page, which is equivalent to refreshing. It should refresh the page here. There it is. Look at that. A basic page is gone, and now watch this video is in its place. I'm going to click on watch this video, and there it is.
Beautiful.
Hi, Chris Heller, the home seller.
Very easy.
Cool.
So we're building here. We're building some understanding how these pages work. Check out this page. I'm going to copy this slug. Took me a long time to copy that. I'm going to paste it and go and let you see it. Check out this page. I want to build this page together in class now. This is a variation of what we did on the mobile app. A minute ago we created just a URL, remember? We did just a link. But I want to build this page together so you can see some additional page building technique and build your skill up a little bit. So to get started, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to clean up some of this stuff. I got a bunch of things up here that's driving me crazy. So to get started on that, I want to show you a resource that I created. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to these pages and I want to delete this page. It's gone. Can't see it again until we build it. I'm going to get rid of watch this video. We don't really need that. On rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, there's our fave icon information. I also created under training, course resources and info, KW website. There's an article, build a KW mobile app page, which is what we're going to do today. This This is just a refresh here of how this information is used and give you some options on how you can build pages. Remember, this is the page that I just showed y'all a minute ago. I'm going to show y'all how to build this. There's two ways you can do it. Option one, is you can download all the components to manually build this page. We've got text, we've got some images, and some instructions. Option number two would be to copy and paste this HTML that I've provided right here, and we can paste it into our website. So I'm going to show you how those work. So let's do option number one first. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this text in blue. I'm just going to copy it and put it into memory on my computer. Then I'm going to download these two images. There goes one. There goes two. Notice they're zipped, so we're going to have to open them up.
Following along to do this with you, or just watch?
You can, or you can just watch. Either way. I'm going to unzip these photos. And we should have another one here. There we go. Small red banner. I'll unzip that one. So I've downloaded these images, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to create a new page in my Placester website. I'm going to choose the template. It's going to be a default page template, so here we go. Come in here. I'm going to create a new page, and the template is going to be default page template. For the page title, which I think I misspelled title, is going to be download free mobile app. Right, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to type that in. I'm going to say download free mobile app. And then for page content, this is telling you to paste the blue text from step one. That was what I copied up here into the page content area. So I'm going to go into the page content area. And I've already copied it. It's in memory, right? So all I got to do is just paste. It should be there. There it is. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert those photos, those pictures. I'm going to insert those images, downloaded in step two, and in my content area. So watch what I do. I'm just going to go in here, and there's a couple ways I can do it. First thing I'm going to do is put my mouse cursor where I want those pictures to go. I could use this photo tool right here, upload image. And I can either drag and drop those images here or choose a file. I like to choose the file. Go to my downloads. Here's our large mobile image. Recognize that? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to insert that in there. And put my cursor where I want it. Now I'm going to use my photo tool, my upload image tool again, and grab the little bitty bar. And the final instructions here are to make these images hyperlinked to your mobile app URL. We already know our mobile app URL. We figured that out earlier. But if you're not sure, look, there's a little link to that tool again if you want to find it again. I think mine's right here. Nope. Where did mine go? There's mine.
And the link will start with HTTP.
HTTP.
Thank you.
So I'm going to copy that. Get back over here to my Placester. Now here's how you make these hyperlinkable. I want, when somebody clicks on this image, I want them to go to my mobile app download page. So what I'm going to do in this editor is I'm just going to click on that image. Notice how I get the dotted lines around there? The system is acknowledging, okay, I know you're about to do something with that image. So I'm going to, while these are selected, while this image is selected, I'm going to click on this link tool right here and insert a link. I'm going to say open in a new tab as a courtesy. Usually on any link, pretty much, I'll say open in a new page or a new tab. That way when they get done, they close it. What's remaining is my website that I want them on. I'm going to insert that. Can't see it anywhere because it's associated with this image. It's invisible. Here it is again. I'm going to make this clickable. So I'm just going to click on it and I should get the ants. There we go. Notice I got the little edit right there. It's interesting. I can click on that. And look, it's going to let me put a link in there. Say new link, new tab. Save. Alright, now I should be able to save this. I can put my meta title in here if I wanted to.
meta description, call to action. I'm drawing a blank for time's sake. I'm just going to hit save for now. The page was added to my menu. Page was added as the last item in my menu. Would you like to edit the menu? Nah, I don't need to edit it. I'm good with where it is. Now let's go take a look at it. Reload my page, download my free mobile app. There it is. If I click on it, whoops, nothing happened on that one. Something must have got off track. Let's go down here. That one's working. Look. If I click on it, it goes to my mobile app. You can see it up there. It's figuring it out. I wonder what happened on that big image. Let's go back and look at it and see if we can figure that out.
It started the tag before your paragraph
Maybe. Let's go look.
instead of on the.
Did I overlook that? Let's go take a look.
Instead of on the actual.
Oh, look at that. Who called that out? Who was it? Oh, you got it. Somewhere when I went and put that link in, I just made a misclick. I'm going to delete that out of there. I put it right there. I don't know why, but I'll just delete that. Let's try again. Look at that. I got the little edit icon. I can hit that. Go ahead and paste in my link. Open in a new tab. Save it. Not a big deal, right? I tested the page. It didn't work. Went back and tweaked it. No big deal. Come down here and save it. Refresh that page again. Good eye back there. Thank you. And now I'm going to click on, yep, I got the hand. Notice the hand? So the arrow, then the hand, that's going to work.
I love it.
So you can get in there and build pages, right? As an example of building a page just with the elements there, with the objects. You could also, in addition to that, you can drop in HTML. I'm going to show you real quick, and then we'll move on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually remove this mobile app page. I'm going to redo it again with option number 2 so you can see how that works. So starting over, here we are. We just completed option 1. Now this is the same routine, but I'm going to use HTML to do it, just so you can see how this tool works. Copy the following HTML, everything in blue. All right. So there's everything in blue. I'm going to copy that. Create a new page in your Placester website, and it's the same steps. Create a template, default template, page title, download free mobile app, and then we're going to have some new steps right here. So let's do those first 2 things real quick. I'm going to go to Placester. I'm going to create a new page. It's going to be a default template and page title. I'm going to call it Download Mobile App 2, just so it stands out for us in class. And then here's where my instructions are different. Remember, before we're working in this little square in here and putting it together, but now what we're going to do is we're going to click on the brackets that are facing each other button. That's a symbol that means HTML. And here it is on the toolbar right there. See that? And watch, when I click on that, it's going to turn this screen black. So I know this is in a new mode. And I'm going to just paste that code straight in there. So we're going to click on the HTML button. It'll turn black. And I'm going to paste the HTML copy. Now here, this is important. In places where it says enter your own mobile URL, I need to put my mobile URL. See, I made them stand out in red right there so you can see where they are. We're going to put our own link. There's my link. I'm going to copy that. That's important because we want it to go to my download, not somebody else's. I'm going to go find that in the code real quick. It should be standing out because it should be all big and bold. There it is. Enter your own mobile URL here. And notice that I did not select the quotation marks. I'm just going to paste that link right there. And look for it one more time. There it is again. It's in 2 places. Remember, we have 2 images that are clickable. That's why it's in 2 places. There's the big image and then the little bar, right? So that's what this code is doing. And I'm just going to paste that in there. I'm going to save it. You can see the preview already fits. There it is. And I'm going to close this and let's go take a look at it and make sure it works. So refresh the page. And this one's got the number 2 behind there, so that's my new example where I put the code in there. There it is. It's clickable. Yep. Click on it. It's going to take me to my destination. So you can use, now my goal is not to make you HTML wizards, but my goal is for you to walk out of the class with a new understanding of what it's capable of doing. You now know that if you're working with somebody who's a web developer or helping you with your web page, and they say, does this thing take HTML? The answer is
Yes.
yes, it does, right? That opens up the playing field. You can get in and use HTML editors, and get real creative and drop your code in there, and so you're not, because if you get in here and start dragging pieces around and resizing them, you're going to get painted in a corner. HTML is rock solid and stable. So if you get and start playing with that, around with HTML, you can get some very stable results. Here's a final thought on that. If you don't want to get into HTML, and if you don't want to try and edit in here if you're having trouble, but let's say you know something like Word or Publisher, you can get in there and edit and create your masterpiece, copy the whole thing, and let you paste right in there, which is awesome. So then you can maybe do some big changes in Word, get it kind of the idea, paste it in there, and then do some little tweaking until it gets done just the way you want it. All right, does that make sense? Everybody feel like you could build some pages now, get some content in there?
Totally.
All right. We're going to talk more about pages as we continue through this menu. I got lost in the system just then. You see me blank out, like, where am I? Here we go. So we've been talking about pages. What we're going to do is we're going to start showing some additional pages, but we're going to be working with these types over here. So what the system does is it realizes that starting a page from scratch is really from scratch, as you can see. But if you start with like blog posts, for example, I can go in here, and if I create a plus sign, this allows me to add a blog post. It's a template-based system. It allows me to go through, and I can answer some questions, and it kind of facilitates building the page for me. So if I look at these blog posts, for example, here's my existing blog posts. You can see where I've put in information, and I've pasted in information in here. Uploaded an image, and it put together my blog post. Watch me do, blog post, a new blog post from scratch. And what I've done is I've prepared some content so we can move through this quickly, and I email it to myself. And I'm going to do a blog post on my favorite topic of blogs, which is taken from the E-Edge 33 Touch Dryer Sheets Stick to Dirt. Who's heard of that one? Anybody? That's like the #1 most popular, first out the door touch that goes out is, did you know that dryer sheets stick to dirt? And that's the little postcard they do. Anyway, if you've been doing E-Edge for any amount of time, you get the joke. You'd be like, oh yeah, dryer sheets stick to dirt. We're going to be talking about that. So I'm going to do that, stick to dirt, because I like the content. Notice what's happening. You know how to build pages because you've seen it, but look, there's some familiar things, all right? You got your slug coming off your title, so you understand how that's working. You understand what's going on here. You could use HTML to compose your blog if you want to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paste what I just copied out of my email, which is a 20-point bulletin on how dryer sheets can help you clean your house, which is exciting. Now down here, here's my content. I just pasted it in there so you don't have to watch me type all that. I can do an excerpt, which is kind of like a teaser. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab just the first part here. And you give everybody sort of a teaser, a tickler, however you want to call it, an excerpt. And I can add an image. I've actually provided an image, prepared an image. I'm going to download this honest-to-goodness picture of a dryer sheet. Now it should be on my computer under downloads. And I've been here a few times teaching this. You can see I've got a couple dryer sheets. I'll do this one. And again, consistent with every page we've seen, SEO again. So maybe if I go in here and put in, you know, here's a good example. Like, let me get this straight in my head before I say it. How about this? Change the title to inexpensive house cleaning tips. Use a dryer sheet. Now that's what would show up as my meta title in Google. We understand that because we talked about that, right? And what if I took on this type of advertising? You ever been in Facebook where they say 10 celebrities died this year that you don't know about? You won't believe number 7. You ever seen that? That's kind of how you need to write this stuff. You see? So I could come in here and say top 20 uses of a dryer sheet to clean your home. I'm just going to be total Facebook here. You won't believe number 6. Now I've written engaging content there, haven't I? Right? I'm trying to build your interest. Instead of saying, hey, I got 20 tips. No, that's not as interesting as you won't believe number 6. Number 6 will change your life. Right? Cheese face. So anyway, I'm going to save that. Because you know why that's good? Is because that might become my entry vector or consumer's entry vector into my website. They might be searching about how to stage their home and how to get the house clean, and I need some cleaning tips, and let's say they see that, and that might be, maybe it has nothing to do with staging a home, but maybe they're searching on the internet about cleaning their house, or they see that, and that becomes the entry into my website, and it's not my homepage they land on, it's my blog article about using dryer sheets. Hey, they're on my website, and if I've got additional engaging content that's interesting to them, then they start clicking around and maybe start getting in my webpage, and that's a good thing, right? Does that make sense? So if we go over here and look at my dryer sheets, my blog, we'll see my new dryer sheet. There it is right there. There's my title. There's my excerpt. If I read more, there's my big photo of a dryer sheet. It's kind of in your face, isn't it? And there's my full-on article. Does that make sense? Pretty easy, right? And there's my certifications. This is a very interesting area called agents. This is further example of where I had to really pay attention to figure this out for a minute. It just didn't work the way I wanted it to in my mind. Then when I got it, I really got it, and I like it. So here it goes. I've clicked on agents, and now what you're seeing, you can think of as like a miniature or a mini roster on my website for my team. It doesn't have to be, when you build this, you don't have to necessarily do agent team. This could be for vendors and alliance partners if you wanted to, if you want to set it up that way. But I'm going to do it it's intended for agents, so I'm going to do it that way. And what I'm pretending is that I've got some buyer's agents on my team, right? So I got Annie agent works for me, and then there's me, I'm Scott Hardy, I'm the rainmaker, and then I'm in the process of hiring another buyer's agent. That's the scenario in my mind for this example. So if I go in here and if I look at the Annie agent page, we're starting to see, again, very familiar by now because we're seeing these same elements over and over again. This template's got a slug and a name just like the rest of them. I can come in here. Just can't seem to copy a whole strings of text today. There we go. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to take a look at what our page looks like. It's a profile page for my buyer's agent, named Annie Agent. There's her phone number, email me, there's her bio. Get in touch with her.
So if someone else is on my team in New Jersey, I can add their page here.
Yeah, you could. Look at this. Listings. Where's that pulling from?
This is so cool.
Take a look. This particular template goes beyond some of the basic elements we've already learned, and it introduces some new things. Agent MLS ID. And I put Lisa Vales in there because Lisa Vales, the FMLS ID bouncing around my head. But if you put your buyer's agent ID, their FMLS ID, or your, whoever's working for you, listing agent, whoever it is, you can see where now that person's inventory is showing up at the bottom of their profile page inside your website. Nice integration, right?
This is so awesome.
Look, it got all of hers too. Look at that, 1 through 7. Hey, before we were dealing with 4 across the front, right? This time in this area, that's interesting. I've never noticed that. I promise. Every time I teach this class, I always see something new, and that's what I just saw new today. I hadn't seen that before. I hadn't noticed. Continuing on down, you can see where we put contact information. Social media, I got a little tired here, I didn't fill it out, but if I put Annie Agent social media information, it adds it to her profile. I think you get the point. Right? Excerpt, I can give it a little bragging right, #1 buyer's agent specialist in Atlanta, I don't know. Featured image, and look, there again, SEO, every page has got it. It's not fun to fill out maybe, but it will benefit, it'll add a dimension to your website if you take the time to do the SEO. Even if you go build a bunch of pages and get your website built and then say, okay, now I'm going to go back and define my SEO because I got a mental picture of how the whole thing kind of fits together, and you can use some strategy in what you write in here, So don't feel pressure to answer that entirely and correctly now, but know it's there and use it. So here's where this is easy to understand, building the page and you can see the page. That's easy. Here's where the counterintuitive side comes in on this. This page, even though we're seeing it right here, it exists nowhere on my menu. Oh, I know. This is my intuition. Oh, I know. I'll go into menu because I learned about that. I'll go into menu and go into my menu and add somebody in here. Right, I don't see any agent there, but we know right here, what did I tell you? This pulls from areas of things you created, right? Except for any agent's not in there. And I was like pulling my hair out. I thought, oh my gosh, how does this thing work? My buyer's agent page is not there. Any agent's page is not there. The way it works is like this. We'll come out of the menu for a second. Wait, actually, let me see. How does it work? Yeah, we'll come in here to pages. Sorry. Hey, I'm learning this thing too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into pages. We were just here. Right now, it's creating individual pages for people. But what I'm going to do now to get it into my menu, I'm going to go to pages. I'm going to add a new page, and I'm going to capitalize on a different template. And this is going to be an agent's index page. Now watch what happens. Annie agent, Scott Hardy, buyer's agent. So I can come in here for my page title and say meet the team. And I can check Annie agent, and I can check myself.
That's how we do the subs, right?
I could shuffle the display order, otherwise it does it in alphabetical if I don't shuffle it. I like to shuffle. Add this page to my menu, you betcha. Meta titles, you can put it in there. I don't need to edit the menu. I like hearing that by the way, that's what I'm here for. That's what I like to hear. That's neat. So anyway, I'm going to recycle the page, just get a clean start here. And, oh come on, where's my home page? There we go, Meet the Team is now in there. And in my scenario here, Annie agent's my rockin' buyer's agent, and I'm the rainmaker. And but my buyer's agent person is not showing up because they're still waiting on some paperwork from that buyer's agent, non-disclosure stuff and employment agreement. But let's say I just got an email that okay, she's ready or he's ready. I can come back over here to my Meet the Team page, and I can go turn my buyer's agent page on and say, yep, we're ready to rock and roll. And now when I do that, I can go in here and meet the team, and it should have 3. There they are. And my buyer's agent is pretty ill, doesn't have much in there. I just just needed some content. Now I've had several hands raise up at this part in the class and say, wait, this could apply to vendors and alliance partners and other things, you know, meet the team or meet the vendors or whatever the case is. Sure, I don't see why not, you know. So you can go there, you can build off on that as much as you want to, now that you know how it works. Great example of getting on my schedule and going, hey, I saw a cool explanation of this, but that was a couple of days ago. Can you help me get this organized on my website? Sure, I'm happy to do that. Just get on my calendar at rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. We'll get that sorted out for you. That's one of my favorite things. I like that a lot. That's cool. Testimonials, very straightforward. You can see an edit of a testimonial page. Again, familiar elements. My testimonial, it's like the page content, they call it testimonial. Refer is the name of the person that's going to show up. I've not figured out really how to use affiliation. I've put an answer in there and then gone to see where it shows up on my webpage. I haven't seen it. Somebody suggested, well, just, you know, if it's a buying referral or affiliation, maybe it's a buyer, or maybe it was a seller, or maybe it's a colleague or something like that, you could put that in. That kind of makes sense, but I still don't know where it shows up. I need to kind of take a closer look. Should the testimonial be featured? Yep. You get an excerpt. Put a photo in there. And again, SEO, which is awesome. Save that, and then if you look at the page, you can see.
What title did you do there?
I didn't put any SEO information in mine. But there you go. Here's my George Clooney one. Oh, there's Taylor Swift. You can see there's my excerpt. There's the photo. There's the referral. There's the read more. When I click on read more, you can see the full-on content.
How did you add their photograph?
I went to Google and downloaded their image.
But how did you?
It's in the construction of the page here. This is my testimonials. I'll do an edit on Oprah. It was down here at the bottom.
Oh.
Add a file. Common question I get here is people say, can consumers submit the testimony to you and get it directly on your website? They can't. They're going to have to email it to you, have them email something to you, asking for a photo, let them know you may edit their testimony for brevity, for relevance, and then you'll have to put the parts together up on your webpage for them. So they can't get in there and do it. Can't get any simpler than that though. That's easy.
Areas page. Now this is a different type of page, and it ties into the St. Lucie model that I like so much. Bring some of these guys up here. Here's St. Lucie. It's like this communities area. This is a collection of areas pages. Just like on my page. Oh, where's my treehouse? There, he moved. Just like my community section here. You can create. There's my East Cobb page. So the way these work is we'll go in here. I really want you to see my Jasper page. Notice it's not showing up. That was the first one I did, and I kind of worked harder on that one than the rest of them. I don't see Jasper in here. I'm going to go add it real quick so you can see it. So if I go to my menu, right there, you recognize that this is my menu structure, but do you also notice I got 2 home pages? Something happened here. I don't know what it was, but this is really my communities page right there. And if I expand on that, you can see that my label, remember we learned the labels, which shows up in the toolbar. I've actually got it labeled as communities, and when you look at it on my website, it shows up correct, communities. But when I'm in the construction part, when I'm back here in editing, for some reason it still says home, even though I changed the label. So I've just learned that is my communities page. I don't know what happened, but notice for my home page, I said it wrong. For my communities page, notice how these are indented. That suggests that they are sub-menus, or nested. So the way you would nest it, I did create a Jasper page already that I want you to see, so I'll show you how to nest it real quick. I'm going to go into the bottom of my menu, and I'm going to add my Jasper page. There he is. I already created him. I'm just going to add him. Now if I save it right now, see where my Jasper page is? It's at the end of my menu. So if I add it now and refresh the page, it'll just add it at the end over here. There it is. There's my Jasper page. I got a nice big slide there. It's pretty.
Nice.
Definitely. Just filled out the form. I put in the body text. I put in some photos. I put in a zip code. I'll show you that in a second. And it stitched it all together for me. It's really cool. What cracks me up is this is not a picture of Jasper.
It's not?
It's not. I just said it was, and people believe it. Isn't that funny how power suggestion? This is just a North Georgia mountain picture I found, you know. And they called it Jasper, and everybody's like, okay, that's Jasper's. But here's my problem. Here's my problem. I got Jasper over here, and I really want it over here, somewhere underneath communities. Right? So here's the trick. Here's the skill that you need to learn, the skill set. Back to menu. These can be moved around. Notice how when I'm hovering over here, I got a mouse pointer. It looks like an arrow. But when I get over here, it looks like a plus sign. That means I can move things around. I can actually grab this Jasper. I'm left click now, and I'm holding, and I'm dragging him in different places.
Awesome.
So I can get over here and I can drag him underneath my home. There he's indented. If you want to establish a new indent on anything, watch this. I can take this Jasper and I could drop it not above or below blog, but like for example right on blog, and see how it indented it right there.
It didn't do that for me.
Oh, trick to that, if it didn't do it, I've noticed when you're establishing that first indent, you sometimes need to go above it and then come down on top of it, then let it go. For some reason that seems to work. Try that. That took me about an hour to figure out one day. And then save it, and you'll see how this looks now. It's going to be under under blog, which isn't right, but I just wanted to make an example. There he is.
Cool.
Close. We need to get him under communities though. Here we go.
Wow.
Did it work?
Yes.
Okay, very
Thank
good.
you for that tip.
You're welcome.
Would never come up with that
Yeah,
one on my own.
I was just doing that in my spare time one day. So I'm going to go drop this here. Where'd he go? Oh, he's at the bottom. Look at that. I can reorder anything. I could say, you know what? Meet the team needs to go up here. Contact needs to go down here. These two needs to go away. That one needs to go away. You can get in there and just manipulate your menu till you get it the way you want it. And now, we got a cleaner menu. Communities includes Jasper. There he is, right there. Very cool. That's organizing those area pages, but building the area pages back to area. If I edit the page, you can see again some of the familiar contents. Page title. Now here's where things are sorted out in terms of the location using IDX, is the type of area. I understand postal codes, not being an agent, not being a realtor. So it was easy for me to say postal, and then I put a zip code in. But you could define it by county, region, locality, postal, neighborhood.
Awesome.
If you say neighborhood, for example, the next field, name of the area, watch this zip's going to disappear. There it disappeared. And now it's pulling from a database. Anybody want to guess what database that's pulling from? Yeah. Why? Because the first thing we did was connected my website to FMLS, right? So if I'm thinking of a neighborhood in Jasper that I want to exemplify here, and I might know it one way, I got to be sure I'm thinking of it the way that FMLS labels that neighborhood. That's why I was having trouble. I was like, well, I don't know. And I don't have really, the skill to get an FMLS and figure that out. So that's why I put zip codes in for my example. But you could change these things if you want to. He's frozen for a second while he's taking on. I shouldn't have pulled that pull down. Give it 1 second. Should the area be featured? Of course. If I say yes, it'll apply the map. There's no place in here to put the map in. It's by that postal code that I put in. So it's going to make the Google map. Oh, he's sick. Hang on. The page is sick. He won't do anything. He's tired. He's ready. He's like, it's almost 4 o'clock. Let's get out of here. Oh, wow. It's just hung. Let's just stand by for technical difficulty here. Let me get back into it. Everybody take a big stretch. We're almost through all this, y'all. Y'all are doing great.
And you're going to tell us how to replace our old website?
We are. Yeah, that's in the next topic here. We're going to spend some time on it. So areas page. And I was working on my Jasper, trying to show you the parts of it. So there we go. I uploaded a slideshow. Interesting enough, I didn't realize it at the time, but I've learned you can actually add more than one slideshow. If you go look at some of the St. Lucy's page, she's got like 10, 11 slideshows on one area, one neighborhood. I was like, wow, that's cool. I didn't notice that first. They tell you that the images should be 1600 by 600 pixels. Here's what to keep in mind when you're dealing with specific image sizes is if you can't find an image exactly that image size and you find something you like but it's smaller, you run the risk that it's going to kind of blemish the image, because what the system will do is if you find an image lower than 1600 by 600, it will force it to be that size. So if it's smaller, it's going to stretch it out and it's going to impose it into that aspect ratio. Anytime, the principle is this, anytime you have an image that's smaller, that you stretch and make bigger, you usually lose quality of it. But the opposite is true. If you have a larger image that you shrink, you usually maintain the quality. So if you can't find a 1600 by 600, you do yourself a service by finding something bigger than that, at least, if you're having trouble resizing. If you need some 600. So if you find something bigger, the system will take that bigger image and it'll make it constrained to those smaller specifications and it'll be fine. That Jasper, Georgia, which is really not a Jasper, Georgia picture, was like 3,000 pixels. It was huge. It's a high resolution photo. And I just loaded it up to see what happened and the system just crunched it right down to what it needed and it was great. High resolution.
In the past, I put mine in paint and then resized it.
Yep, you can put it. I was going to say, if you have trouble getting resized, let me know. It's a good example. Get on my calendar. Paint would work. If you're on a Mac, the image preview's got a resizer in it. Another great tool that I use all the time. I used it this morning. PicMonkey. Who's heard of PicMonkey? You'll love PicMonkey. It's got free and paid for tools. So you can go in here and you can upload an image like Olga's logo.
Right.
And go up here and you can apply all these things to it and make changes to it. Filters, exposures, things like that.
Awesome.
Right? Change the shadows on it. All kinds of things you can do. This image here that I did on rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com where we built this page. This page was getting washed out. So I loaded it up into PicMonkey and I added that shadow right there so it kind of stand out on the page. So PicMonkey allows you to do some resizing, auto adjust, some different things, cropping, rotating, There's some different tools you can use. Of course, you know, the more you get into it, it's a freemium model. So as you start using it, and you're like, oh, now I want to try the lens flare. They're like, oh, you got to sign up and pay for it. But it's a cool little place if you're in a jam, want to get some changes. So upload your image in there. You get 3 headlines and 3 bodies. So I kind of fudged here. I did a headline and then I skipped and did a body. But you get 3 headlines and 3 bodies, and then you can spice it up with images in between. So I kind of skipped that, but I put in some body here, and then I uploaded 2 images. These images were larger in size, but the system scaled them down so they fit. So there's my 2 images, right there and right there. And then this map came in from the zip code, and then the rest of this came in, the listings came in from the zip code. So you're not having to build that by hand. You do an excerpt, a little teaser, the featured image, and of course SEO again, repeats over and over again. Does that make sense for area pages? So then you just keep nesting them in the right location. So maybe you do a Smyrna Vinings page for your communities, and you just do a collection of neighborhoods and areas that you work with, right? Okay. Y'all ready to move on? We're going to focus at the bottom down here under more. We're going to talk about lead capture, custom domain, and site tracking. So lead capture, real fast conversations, very simple. I've got 3 choices. I've got passive, aggressive, and passive aggressive. No, I'm kidding. Passive, aggressive, and custom is what I've got. Which actually is sort of passive aggressive when you think about it. But look, Most everybody in the room is going to have just passive and aggressive as their options. They don't have custom. I learned that because I'm an early adopter, my page came with that as a trial feature, and it's going to be taken away from me at some point. This is an add-on, costs you $5 a month to add this on. We'll talk about it in a second. First, the choices that you can work with are passive, and I'll read this to you. If you set your website for passive, then visitors can view property details without submitting a contact form or registering your site. So it's important to take away there is it's dealing with just the property listings. So if you turn that on, there's no lead capture at all. I said that wrong. There's no lead capture going on. It's completely opt-in. If somebody's browsing a listing, they want details, they can choose to click to register to save the listing, save the search, or contact you for more information. Passive, it's up to the consumer. Aggressive, however, visitors are blocked from viewing property details without submitting a contact form or registering on your site. So as the name implies, it's aggressive, and it just applies to your listing detail. Doesn't mean they can't see your blog or your areas pages or details and things like that and different content. It only applies to the listing details. So when they're in an area that's got IDX and they start browsing listing inventory, if this is turned on, then they will be forced to register before they can see any detail at all of that listing, of any listing. Pretty aggressive. I've heard arguments both ways. Some people say, lock it down, make them register. That's the way to do it.
Where is it?
This is found at the very bottom,
Oh,
lead capture.
thank you.
And I've heard other arguments that say, leave it wide open, they'll register when they're ready, and I've heard success stories behind both. Here, though, I think this is something that's worth the $5 per month if you add on this piece. The custom select a custom set of criteria to determine when visitors are asked to complete a registration form, and the criteria are found in this collection down here. So you could set it that after a certain number of site visits, then they register. So you've been on my site 10 times, you got to register. I like that. That's cool, right? Or you could say a certain number of minutes on the site. Or you could say maybe after a certain number of page views. You could probably work these together after 30 minutes or after 5 page views. You see where I'm getting at? So they're not bombarded by it, but they're not getting away with it wide open. They can see everything they want without registering. After a certain number of page views on a selected page type, so that's kind of cool. I like this feature, allow contact form to be dismissible. You ever been on a page that forces registration and you can't get out of the pop-up?
Yeah.
This puts an X up there so you can get rid of the pop-up. They can say, well, I'm not going to register, but I'm also not going to leave your page because I was able to dismiss that and I'm going to read about your staging blog or something. I don't know. You can create a custom thank you message. That's nice. So I like that feature. I would recommend that. I think it's worth $5 a month. I don't know. You'd have to measure how many conversions you're getting. If you're getting a lot of conversions, you can justify $5 a month, right? Lead forwarding. This allows you to establish email addresses to where your lead notifications go to. So when somebody does register on the site above using those rules, then where does that information go to? Well, on my website, it goes to leads@rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. You can establish unlimited number of email addresses there, separated by comma. So if you have people on your team, you can put their email address in there so they're getting email whenever somebody completes a registration on your website. If somebody's covering for you, you're on vacation, somebody could be watching your leads. Last time I checked, the system automatically tied into our eEdge database. Somebody mentioned to me they didn't think it was still doing that. I need to test it and see what's going on. But I could have sworn at one point I tested it, I did a lead capture on my Placester site, and sure enough it showed up as a new lead in my eEdge database, which I believe is the intent. I'll double check that. But some systems, some third-party systems, like maybe Contactually or Happy Grasshopper, whatever the case is, they have lead capture email addresses associated with your profile for those systems. You can enroll it here, so that when somebody fills out a lead on this site, on Placester's site, that contact information hits the email address associated with your third-party database, and it may be able to import that information into your third-party database if you're using something other than eEdge. Takes a little bit of experimentation, but it's nice. It's got this flexibility allowing you to establish some email addresses. Let's save that. And come on down. The custom domain. I always feel but feel bad for the people that are here today to find out about custom domain, because I make you wait 3 hours before we get to that. And I find everybody's got this as a burning question a lot of times. Now here's the deal. I'm not going to show you step by step how to do your custom domain. I'm going to show you what you need to know to get an understanding of how this works in my value to you is I'm not leaving here right at 4 o'clock. When we get done, you're going to have a little time to work on anything you want. And if you want to get your custom domain tied into your Placester site, I'm here. I can help you do it. I can do most of them in about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So it's not a big deal. But I will show you how this works, and I'll give you a caution about one pitfall here of how this works. But before we continue about the mechanics of it, let's talk about what a custom domain is, right? This form in its first version will have, where mine says your custom domain, that will be taken out. You won't see anything there. Mine's completed, so that's the end product and it gets up there. But you should see where it says your domain if you just launched your site today. In my case, it's shardy.kw.com, shardy.kw.com. Everybody's raw address for your Placester site is your KW login plus the .kw.com. So my login is shardy, mykw.kw.com. So my domain issued by Placester is shardy.kw.com. Mechanically speaking, it's totally stable and works. I could put it on my bumper stickers and t-shirt campaigns and business cards if I wanted to. But there's a couple problems with that. One, consumers don't normally think in terms of something.somethingelse.com. Right? They think of scotthardy.com. Even if it was shardy.com, that would probably work better than that because consumers just don't use that. That's called a subdomain, by the way, is that structure there. So there's that, right? You want this to be a memorable, branded domain name that your consumers can reasonably remember, that they can identify in your marketing. So that brings in people like GoDaddy. Anybody here a GoDaddy customer?
Yes.
I mean, man, they've got like market share. You know, everybody is a GoDaddy person these days. So GoDaddy sells domain names branded with what's called a top-level domain. In my case, treehousefinder.com, you see it at the top there. I went and paid $13 or $12 a year for treehousefinder.com just so I can teach the website class. So I've got that. I've tied it in and pointed it to my e-agency back in the day, and then I tied it in and pointed it to my e-edge. And now today, I've changed all that at GoDaddy, and I've redirected it now to my Placester site. That's a great example of what you may encounter professionally. If you were to just stick with shardy.com or Olga Davis, odavis.com or .kw.com and put on your bumper stickers and not credit cards, but your business cards, one day it stands to reason that's going to change. It's happened 3 times for me in my time that I've been here since 2004. E-agency used a different convention. It was scott.yourkwagent.com, and then e-edge was scotthardy.yourkwrealty.com, and then now we got this one. So one day it's going to change again, and inevitably there's people in class that'll say, I got 1,000 business cards with my e-agency domain on there. Now what? Well, there's nothing you can do about that. You know, the thing to do is to go get a top-level domain like treehousefinder.com or an olgadavis.com or scotthardy.com, something that you will always have control over, print it on your business cards, and in 5 years, when your website moves over to another system, but you still own that domain, your business card is still valid, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the point of doing all this. You want to get a top-level domain. The advice I would give you if you're buying a new domain is always think, anytime you're in SEO mindset or domain mindset, think in terms of value proposition, geography, and niche. That's a great foundation for getting a mindset for those topics. So, you know, besides a first and last name.com, which is a great wide open idea for your domain name, if you can utilize geography, niche, and value systems, then you're thinking like your consumers are when they're searching on Google. So I would encourage you to think like that. And with that in mind, it may be difficult to find the proper domain for a website that you're under construction in right now. You may need to build your website up, get your content together, and figure out what your website's all about. But if you have a domain that you already own and you want to redirect it, or if you're ready to buy a domain that you've verified is available, the key to getting it to work is behind these instructions right here. I literally just followed these step-by-step instructions. If you look at them, they give you a basic piece of instruction, or they give you specific GoDaddy instructions. This is like screenshot one after the next on how to sign in, get configured, and set this up. You can do it in about 3 different settings that you got to update. It's pretty easy to do. Here's the catch that I try to warn people about. When you first look at this page, you may be tempted to answer the add a custom domain. I was. I looked at this and said, oh, I know how to do it. I can cowboy my way right through this. I'm going to wrestle through it and just put my
treehousefinder.com. And this was the first thing I did, was I went into add a custom domain and I typed in treehousefinder.com and saved it. And it planted it right up here once I entered it. I entered it here, I hit save, and it put it up there, and I thought, okay, great, and nothing happened. Then I went back and followed these directions, and the directions didn't work. And what I figured out is the very last step, if you follow those step-by-step directions, the very last thing they tell you to do is to fill this out. If you fill it out ahead of time, it jams it up. It won't work. And so many people are kind of noodling around and trying to figure this stuff out. That's how I figure stuff out. And I shot myself in the foot the first time. So if you've gone in and you've defined add a custom domain already, but you haven't followed those steps, the biggest takeaway I can tell you right now is hit remove it out, back it out, and go back and follow those steps. Then add that in the custom domain, and it should lock in. It takes anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour to update on the internet and become live. All right, so I can help you do that after class here in a few minutes if you'd like to, or you can try to tackle it, and if it doesn't work, get on my calendar and schedule time with me. I'm happy to do it. The last thing I want to show you today is site tracking, and then we're going to be done. Site tracking utilizes a product called Google Analytics. Notice I have a tracking ID, and there's a custom number that's been assigned to me by Google Analytics. Anybody here ever used Google Analytics before? Google Analytics, I'll warn you, is a bit addictive. You'll get into this, and I get pulled into it. I'm a data guy. I love data crunching and all that kind of stuff, and reading stats, and so this is right up my alley. But it's a free service. Google Analytics doesn't cost you anything. If you've already got a KW account, you've got a Google Works account, you can add your analytics to your KW account if you want to. You simply go to Google Analytics and register, and they issue this code to you, and you paste it into as a tracking ID, and it begins to track the site traffic on your website. So you know all kinds of details about how much traffic you've had, who's been there, how much time they spend, where do they click, what do they do next. I want to show you mine real quick, and we'll break. So if I go to google.com/analytics, I can get into the front door here of Google Analytics. I'm going to sign in right here, Google Analytics.
Quick question.
Yes, Olga?
Do you sign up with the KW website or your new domain?
Well, Google Analytics is a Google product, and it happens to be that the KW email address you've been assigned is a Google product that's eligible, so it works well. I would use the KW email address.
Okay.
I think you can use any email address you want, though, to sign up the account. We're looking at tracking on several things right now. I track several different pages. Let me go back to my, you know what it is I'm logged in as S. Hardy. What this has done is it's associated with my S. Hardy because look over here, I'm logged in on my email as S. Hardy. I do all my real tracking through another email address.
That means you're gonna start over?
Yep, be real quick.
Yay.
Watch. I'm going to log in to my Google account, scott@rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, which is a Google product. All right, I'm going to put my password in, which is, you thought I was going to call that out, huh? But you know what? Watch this. This is a good point. It is, wasn't it? Watch my password there. That's great. I have to block that out in the video later. But now, doesn't matter. What's happening now?
Two-step verification.
Two-step verification. Doesn't even matter that you just all saw my password, does it? Because you didn't get the text message that I just got.
Now I want to see what's in your email.
And I got to tell you,
I didn't even see the password.
one of the number one, I forgot, it's the tool, the training tool showing everything I type.
Oh.
One of the, and you can even see this code right now. It's not a big deal because, whoops, that's not right. Because it's going to be good for only one time. So 706-812. One of the number one calls I get with people are, hey, my KW account or my Google account has been hacked. Right? Now, one of the number one ways you can stop getting hacked is by setting up two-step authentication so that when you go to a new computer, it'll give you that text prompt. If you want help doing that, what can you do? You can go to Rawls Group Help Desk, sign up on my schedule, be happy to do it for you. So now I'm going to sign in using my Rawls Group Help Desk account, and this is all my tracking. So you see I'm tracking several websites. Here's my Placester website. I can look at the data on my Placester website. So I can look up here, treehousefinder.com. I've gotten 629 page views between May 20th and June 19th.
Wow, very popular.
Actually, I do a lot of training. I think these are me. Tweaking on the page, building it up. Sessions, I get 37 sessions this past month with 24 different users. Now, that's interesting. It's probably 24 because I'm in different locations. I can look at site traffic to show me returning visitors versus new visitors. So as you start digging into this, you can see what people are using, what browsers they're using to read your website. Chrome, pretty much everybody's using Chrome. I can look and see what cities of origin I'm getting traffic from. So if I have a website that's about Dunwoody and I got, 500 visits per month from locations in Dunwoody, that starts to make sense, right? If I'm in a meeting and I'm trying to explain to somebody how awesome my website is, and I'm like, hey, I get site traffic, and they're like, how do you know? Well, Google Analytics shows me that my Dunwoody home finder is getting site traffic from Smyrna, Roswell, Dallas, Georgia, North Decatur, and Atlanta, and I get like 1,000. I'm just making up numbers, but you can substantiate that stuff. You can see what's going on. You can build content in your website and then watch your analytics and see, do you get higher levels of traffic? You can actually look and see what pages people have been on. You can see how much time they spend on the page. Probably one of the most interesting stats is the bounce rate. You've ever heard of a bounce rate before when it comes to websites? This is Rawls Group Help Desk. Watch this. I'm going to get into Rawls Group. This is my Help Desk page. I get a ton of traffic on this page.
Wow.
I get a 57.74% bounce rate. A bounce rate is a measurement of how many people have arrived at your web page. It's on their screen, but they've clicked on nothing. They just clicked out. So either they got there because of Google or a mailer that you put on their, in their mailbox, or a door knocker, or your business card, or a referral, or, whatever the case is. Doesn't matter. They've arrived on your website, but they've clicked on nothing. They just bounced out. What that means, that's where you get the name bounce rate. What it means is your content did not match up to their expectations. There was nothing for them. So if you have a high bounce rate, Google sees that and they go, man, I don't know what you're doing to get traffic, but you're tricking somebody because nobody's clicking on it. And there's an old saying that when Google loves you, I said it backwards. When people love you, Google will love you. And so when people click on your website and actually use it, Google takes notice. So a 50% bounce rate is considered excellent. It's really good, right? So if your bounce rate is 90% or 80%, you got some content to work on, right? Whatever your marketing is, maybe your meta titles and your meta description are great for getting traffic over to your website, but they don't really correlate to what's really on the page. So maybe you need to think about what are your motivators, what are your call to actions to get people on there. This is I want to do a Google class before long, once we get through some of the Placester stuff, and I will make sure that analytics is a part of that class. So I really want to dig in and show some different stats. This is a fantastic tool. It's free. It's easy to set up. I'd encourage you to do it. Folks, you have now heard everything that is on my list of stuff to talk about. I appreciate your time today. That was a lot of information. Did you learn anything?
Olga wants to hire you.
That's right.
Olga is going to be teaching with me. She's going to be going to every class. She'll be my assistant.
Awesome.
No,
Thank you.
I appreciate
feel
your
honored.
questions. Your questions are great. I'm not going anywhere right away. I'll be hanging around if you want to work on your pages. I know sometimes people are like 3 hours and then work on it, so I'm done. But I'm not going anywhere till you go somewhere. So if you want me to work on your domain and get it updated with GoDaddy, I'm available to do that. Or if you just want to hang out and talk, I'm available to do that too. So give me just a minute here and I'll come desk side.